What's good? What's good? What's good, fans? Thank you guys for tuning in to week 258 of this iteration of the Voice of the Fans podcast. It is week 3. We're going into week 3 of the NFL season, Cleveland. You got to answer some questions. You got to answer some questions on these rookie quarterbacks, Bryce Young versus CJ Stroud comparison. I give you a little props. You talked about CJ coming out of college. I didn't expect much of him, but he got to turn it up. You got the Miami Dolphins number 1. You can't hate no more. And you're gonna have to. I'm gonna give you a chance tonight. I might give you a chance to redo your playoff picks. Okay, I'm gonna give you a chance to redo your playoff picks, and you tell me if you want to. When we come back after this opening, you tell me if you want to redo your playoff picks or not. Okay, let's get the show started just like this.
Am I speaking to right now?
Cameron.
My name
Cameron.
is
Cam Buford.
We got some good questions today.
I'm a Dolphin fan.
There's always room for improvement.
This is a big year for Tua to prove that he's a franchise quarterback.
I'm more a fan of boxing. Boxing is my main sport.
As a competitor, how much does that competitive spirit get in there and say, I want to fight this guy. I want to get some of this guy.
Of course I want to fight all the guys. Of course that. But at the same time, like I keep telling you, it's a business.
Talk about that loyalty for a moment.
I'm staying there to try to make a change. Give back to the youth, give back to my community and show them that there is hope that you can make it out. Only thing is you just got to be dedicated. You got to keep your head down and stay on this course that you're heading towards.
Think about it like this. The promoter pays the fighter. The fighter pays the manager.
Okay.
So the manager works for the fighter, and the fighter works
for the promoter. Okay.
If you can see, you can believe.
So you are lifting weights currently?
It's not look like it.
When he said it's easier to score in the NBA versus Europe, did you agree with them?
To me, it's easy to score all over the world.
Aaron, what has the game of baseball taught you?
One of the biggest things is being humble.
Can you give a message to the kids to kind of persevere through the false teachings they may be giving?
Patience.
Okay.
Patience.
As the show Voice of the Fan
Oh my goodness!
continues to
I'm in
evolve,
tears.
Come on, you were adding some spice to it.
it is strictly banter back and forth between myself and Cameron Buford.
I enjoy all of it.
The real ones know what's going on, right?
Like you said, Pacific Northwest, so I think it's a big part of my game, and every time I step on the floor, I just want to represent myself.
You play this game and you don't turn to win a championship, then why are you playing for?
I'm happy for the Mariners. I'm happy for the whole
Nobody.
Never mind.
Go watch the tape. Go watch the tape, and then you tell me if it was all about just a system.
You look like a buffoon.
Go do your research. Go do your study.
Oh, this guy.
That's what's good in sports, man. It's the big Snoop Dogg, man.
That's what's good in sport. Hey, man, thanks for making our voice your choice. You know how we do.
Ooh, those Mariners. Do you want to talk about those Mariners today? Is today the day to talk about those Mariners?
I mean, we can get to them when you're ready, Cam. We can get to them when you're ready. But my man Tyler's here, so we can push that out till a little bit later.
Okay. We'll spare Tyler. Hey, Tyler, how you doing, sir? Welcome to the show.
What's going on? I see what your Dolphins had on. I guess you're excited about a 2-0 start. They didn't win a Super Bowl in 2 weeks. I'll tell you that, though.
Oh, here you go. Okay, so just like Cleveland, I told the fans I'm gonna give Cleveland a chance to correct his playoff predictions, and I'm gonna give you the same chance, Tyler. I'm gonna give you the same chance to correct your playoff predictions because I see that you posted it, and this went nationwide, fans. I don't know if you guys are following my man Tyler Dragon, USA Today sports writer, but he actually didn't have the Dolphins in the playoffs. Shame on you. I'm gonna give you a chance to correct that. You Buffalo Bills, you had the Eagles winning, so ultimately, you know when it all boils down, you had the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. So I can't be too mad at you about that. But not having the Dolphins in the playoffs, Tyler, come on, man.
So this was my preseason predictions, and this was prior to Aaron Rodgers being hurt and going down for a season-ending injury. So if I got to do my picks over again, or right after Aaron Rodgers got hurt, I would replace the Jets with the Miami Dolphins. So
here we go.
After everything has
since
transpired, I have the Dolphins in the playoffs.
Well, if you see this scrolling across the line, this was on August 23 of this season. I did not have the Jets with Aaron Rodgers making the playoffs. Okay, so I didn't need to revisit after the season starts, after we get 4 games into the season. I didn't need to do that, Mr. Tyler. So again, I'm gonna give you a chance before we let you go. I'm gonna give you a chance to redo your playoff picks or redo your playoff picks. So that's only fair. I mean, it is early in the season. Things happen. It's only fair. So I'm going to give you a chance to get that corrected for the fans or tuning into the show. Thanks again for being here. And let the go right off the bat, let the people know, give them your credits and let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, they can find me on, well, it's not Twitter, it's X now, right? I always get it confused. They can find me on X at the Tyler Dragon. That's my Twitter handle. Or go on USA Today, Tyler Dragon's the author page, so you can find me in there and read my latest work as well.
Yeah, we're going to talk about some of your latest work as well. But do you call it crypto or do you call it Staples Center? What do you call that?
Man, I haven't had to you say it for a while, but it's always going to be Staples Center to me. But I don't mind calling it the crypt. Go to the crypt.
Yeah, okay.
But it's still Staples Center. It's Staples Center at heart.
Again, welcome Tyler Dragon to the show. Cleveland, I hope you're feeling better this week. Fans, each and every show, we start our show off with the numbers game. With it being September 20th, we're going to look at the number 20, week 258 of the Voice of the Fans podcast. We're going to look at the number 58. So, Tyler, when you think of the number 20, who wore that jersey number the best, or who come to your mind first?
Barry Sanders.
Barry Sanders. Okay, that's fair enough. What about you, Mr.
Barry Sanders.
Barry.
Who comes to mind first would be GP up here in the 206. Who wore it the best? Barry Sanders.
You guys make me feel old. The first guy to come to my mind, actually, it's the first guy that come to my mind was Billy Sims. When I used to watch those Bears and Lions games way back in the day, I thought Billy Sims was the rawest running back. Obviously, Barry Sanders eclipsed him, but I thought back in the day he was the rawest running back that I've seen at the time. I couldn't understand the hubbub behind Walter Payton because I thought Billy Sims was filthy, in my opinion. When you think of the number 58, who wore that number best, or who come to your mind first?
Man. No 58s come to my mind, honestly.
No 58s come to your mind. Okay, I mean, we're gonna shake up that memory. We got Carl Banks. You don't remember? You don't know who that guy is?
I know who Carl Banks is, but he wasn't the first of mine. Nobody jumps out to me at 58.
Derek Thomas. He didn't jump out to you. You don't remember that kid?
I remember Derek Thomas. I guess I'll go with Derek Thomas.
Yeah, he was the first guy to come to mind. Obviously, the best one to wear it. Would you agree with that, Cleveland, or you got somebody else?
Derek Thomas times 2. First come to mind, best to ever wear it.
Yeah. I agree with that. Guys, it's been the NFL season. Obviously, every week is different. Every week seems like a season within itself. So I'm gonna start the week off because I know from listening to your podcast, Mr. Tyler, that you're not a Tua Tagovailoa fan, and we're gonna have to get some clarity right here. And I'll be 100% honest with you that I did not want the Dolphins to take Tua Tagovailoa when they were drafted at number 5 in that draft. Again, as we mentioned before, we talked about this before. I would have sent all of our draft picks to Cincinnati for the rights to draft Joe Burrow. We would make that happen, and I would have gave them future draft picks if they wanted that to happen. That's how highly I thought of Joe Burrow over Tua Tagovailoa. My question has been ever since he played in the league is, can he stay healthy? That's been my question. Can he stay healthy? And I hate having such a high draft pick, and you have that question on that draft pick. Like it's what are we, year 4 right now, and it's been a question every single year, and even going into week 3, even though they're 2-0 and he's looked very sharp, it's still that question. That's the only thing with drafting a player with that number 5 pick. I don't think you should have that question. What's your thoughts on Tua, and what's your disdain for Tua?
So first of all, I like Tua. I've liked him ever since he was the quarterback at Alabama. And I'm on record of saying at the very early stages of the draft process, actually even before the draft process, before he got hurt at Alabama, I said that he was the number one quarterback prospect coming out. And when Joe Burrow ended up winning the national championship, and I evaluated the quarterbacks a little bit more and looked at Tua's injury history, then I kind of shifted a little bit. I said that Justin Herbert had the highest ceiling. I said that Joe Burrow is the most ready now quarterback. And I said Tua's kind of a combination of both of them. And he's the wild card, depending on his injury history. But, that's why I thought maybe Tua can still go number one, because to me, he was that boom or bust type of player coming out. Now, yes, that's the biggest question is he can stay healthy. And he has shown, though, in his NFL career, when he's on the field, he can play winning type football. And you can certainly win games because of him. And he can throw with accuracy, precision, and that's his best skill set, throwing with accuracy and, precision and getting it there in space. And I give the Dolphins credit. They looked at that Alabama film and they were like, okay, he had Waddle, but he had a lot of speedsters on the outside. So that's what we need to do for him in the NFL. We need to not only draft Waddle, but we need to get him the fastest player in the NFL who's available.
Possibly. And so who's available?
Yeah.
That's
so
right. Let's go get him.
They constructed a roster around him with nothing but speedsters. You even look at Mostert at running back.
That's smart. That's smart coaching. That's smart. That's what coaching and game planning is about. That's intelligent.
It's smart. That's what it is. And so to your question, I do think him. However, the question is if he can pressure, because is in a career, I would say this, and this season, he pressured a lot.
Well, you breaking up there. I missed that last part, Tyler. You breaking up on us.
You guys?
I said you broke up on us, man. Maybe you want to jump off and come back on because you broke up on us on the last part there. Can you hear us? I think, Tyler, you froze up on us. Chief. Did you agree with what he's saying? Did you agree with what he's saying, Cleveland?
I understand your love-hate relationship with Tua Tagovailoa. And I think that over these first two games of the 2023 season that you've seen that if you can keep Tua upright, good things can happen. I've been saying that for a little bit now. So from that perspective, I definitely agree with Tyler. Now, the question is, I think that he is one of those players that I haven't looked at the schedule that intently, but once it starts getting to November and December, his games get a little bit colder, and the schedule is not quite as formidable as it is early. You're going to have a different opinion because let me stop you right now. Let me stop you right now. Late in the season, in November, December, 5 of our games are played in South Florida. Can I stop you real quick? It only takes 2 or 3 games for Tua to throw some interceptions and hurt his head and twist his ankle, and you'll be like, why did we draft this team? When he's in September and you're in Los Angeles and New England when it's not that cold just yet, and he's slinging the ball around, and Tyreek Hill is looking like, we
don't have to go back to New England.
Rice, and
we don't have to go back to New England.
And the defense is still healthy. Yeah, you love
the Jets aren't going to be a problem. He performed in Buffalo. See, you forget. You forget. You conveniently forget that he performed in Buffalo late in the season last year.
Yeah, but you were already signed off on him by that point. You were already not happy with him by that point.
Look, we're talking positive things. We're putting positivity in the air. We're putting positivity in the air today. It's week 2, right? As of this moment, right now, I'm gonna give you guys a stat. I know you don't like stats, Cleveland, but that's a clarifier point right now.
Hit me with it.
Tua Tagovailoa right now is averaging the 4th quickest time to throw, 2.08 seconds. Of any quarterback in the game since 2020. That means his decision-making is quick. He's getting rid of the ball. As Tyler mentioned, he's throwing to some of the most prolific and quickest receivers in the game. We're not going to lose our speed in week 7 and week 8. And again, as I was mentioning, late in the season, November, the NFL, Roger Goodell.
It will just be colder. And those players will be less.
You're not missing. You're missing what I'm saying. You're not hearing what I'm saying. In November, December, 5 of our games are going to be in South Florida. Okay, it's prime, perfect weather. So Roger Goodell did us a favor this year, and we're not going to lose any speed. We're not going to lose any speed. So as long as we keep getting rid of the ball quickly and we keep our run game, most of runs over 100 yards a game, we're going to be in good shape, Tyler. We're going to be in good shape.
Oh my goodness.
What was your over-under for the amount of games that Tua would play this year?
No, other people had Tua only playing 7 games. So let's get Tyler on the record right now, Tyler. What is your over-under on the games that Tua plays this year, Tyler?
I don't wish anybody gets hurt. I hope he doesn't get hurt, so I'm going to say 15.
That's what I'm shooting for. I'll be ecstatic. If we get 15 games out of this kid, I'll be ecstatic. And Tyler, he might be sitting out the last 2 games of the season just for rest purposes. If we get 15 games, he might be sitting out just, Mike McDaniel's having a cold, hot toddy on the sidelines just to get prepared for the playoffs, for our playoff stretch. If we get 15 games out of him.
What I don't get what Brandon Staley was doing when he was single covering Tyreek Hill and man-to-man coverage.
We're going to get
to or any team with the Dolphins, you need to press those receivers, specifically Tyreek Hill, and put a safety over the top, and then also get after the quarterback. Now, that's easier said than done, but when you have press coverage on them, they take a little bit while to get open. And I would let Waddle try to beat me. Now, if I can't double cover Waddle, then that's fine. But let Waddle beat me. I'm not letting Tyreek Hill beat me because Tyreek Hill has proven throughout his career that he could beat you. So I'm going to press both of them, and I'm going to put a safety over top of Tyreek Hill. And I might shade a linebacker over to Waddle's waist just to knock out the slants out the way. So he has to beat me over the top every single play. And I'm getting after Tua. Now, that's similar to what they did last year, the Los Angeles Chargers. And that's how they lost games. But I'm not even just talking about the Chargers in general. I'm talking about every team. That's how they need to play the Dolphins. And listen, because Tua, the knock on him and how he gets himself in trouble, similar to every quarterback, is when you pressure him. But with Tua, he gets happy feet. And then he starts to panic. And when his first read goes away, that's when he's like, okay, he tries to force stuff in there, and the spaces that he's been told to throw to when they're not open, that's when he starts throwing those interceptions. And
he's been doing jiu-jitsu. He's been doing jiu-jitsu this offseason. So he needs to learn how to get rid of the ball, and then that jiu-jitsu is going to help him not hit the ground so hard. That's going to help him kind of stay healthy longer.
I mean, that's fine. I'm not even talking about being injured. I'm talking about being able to contain that high-powered offense.
So Tyler, you bring up a great point. I was going to get into this next and talk about that Staley. Last season, when Tua was on that Dan Marino pace of 1984, passing in 6 games in a row, Cleveland was, all the stats I gave you. He was just on a pace that we hadn't seen since Dan Marino last season. And then they ran up against the Derwin James Los Angeles Chargers. And what the Chargers did, what I thought was brilliant, is they dropped their linebackers into that 10 to 15 yard range, cutting off that slant route. And then they did have their 2 safeties over the top. So that's exactly how the league they kind of gave the league a blueprint of how to stop that offense and that pace that Tua and that offense was on. And then we come into week 1 of this year with Derwin James. And again, I don't know if I mentioned this to you, Tyler, before, but I think they asked too much of Derwin James. Not that he can't play 15 all 11 positions on the defense, but they just ask him to play too many positions. The guys don't get no continuity, and they're always like, where's he going to be this time? Where's he going to be in this play? I think that causes confusion within the entire defense. I'd love to ask Brandon. Maybe you could ask that question. Do you ask too much of this kid? Do you ask too much of Derwin James? Not saying that he can't play the position, but it just puts the rest of the defense in precarious situations because maybe they're not familiar everywhere he's going to be on the sideline or on the field. But with Derwin James, they allowed my man Tyreek Hill to go for 11 catches, 215 yards. That was ridiculous. Like what? I'm lost, and I found my way to the door
in a season opener.
I'm finding I'm looking for the door on the Staley train. I'm looking for the exit route because I just don't understand how you let this happen. This is Brandon Staley. I mean, I've been defending this guy, but if your defense continuously gives up points, you got Herbert doing. And I'm going to talk to you about Herbert as well. You got Herbert doing what he's doing, putting up 30 points a game, and your defense can't slow anybody down. Like, and you're supposed to be the defensive coach. Like, what's going on here? Every week you can't say, well, we have to play it better. We have to play it better. We didn't match up with our assignments. Well, now something's going wrong. If you're not able to match up your assignments week in and week out, either the teaching is not getting done properly or the guys aren't accepting it. Either way, that's the teacher's problem. If our grades, if we're not getting passing grades, either teacher's not teaching it or we're not grasping the concept, right? And it's one or the other. And so, are you going to blame the players or are you going to blame the teacher? Come on, what's your understanding of this?
I'm going to blame the teachers. I'll say that because it's more than just Brandon Staley. But he's the head coach, so the onus falls on him. And some of the things that the Chargers do just mystify me. Like you named a few of them, like playing man coverage. The Dolphins, the fastest team in the NFL, least fastest receivers in the NFL. Big plays. I believe the Chargers have given up the most big plays to start the year or among the top of the list. I mean, they allow Ryan Tannehill to get 2 40-plus yard passes. The Tennessee Titans.
Ryan Tannehill. Went 20 for 24. He went 20 for 29 in the start. I don't mean to cut. Ryan Tannehill went 20 for 24 against your team. Like, I'm looking for the door. And Cleveland, you know how I feel about Ryan Tannehill. When that happens, I'm looking for the door. I got to get off this train. I got to get off this train. I'm sorry, Tyler. You brought up Ryan Tannehill.
I mean, you
touched a nerve. You touched a nerve when you brought up Ryan Tannehill.
Well, I did a column on the Chargers this week, and then I was looking up. The Titans scored 27 points. They only scored 27 points once last year with Ryan Tannehill.
15 straight weeks, they have not scored more than 15 points.
Yeah,
for 15 straight weeks. And they come out and score 27 against the Chargers. Like
it was.
Like what's really going on?
Yeah, and then I saw another that the Chargers are the first team to get 50-plus points and have no turnovers through 2 weeks and be 0-2. So you have to point to the defense. The defense can't stop a nosebleed, and you have that many star players on defense. And I'm talking about Pro Bowl caliber players like Derwin James, as we both said, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack. I mean, those guys alone, your defense should be average. Not to mention you gave J.C. Jackson all this money, and J.C. Jackson looks like a shell of himself. He played
He's coming back off injury. So
yeah, he played okay last game against the Titans. But then giving up big plays over and over again, the cornerbacks, they can't get a pass rush with Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack. I mean, come on, man. It's bad. It's bad. And if they lose this weekend to the 0-2 Vikings, the Heat, I mean, he's already on the hot seat. It's safe to say that Brandon Staley's on the hot seat, but that seat's going to get hotter if they fall 0-3 because this team has legitimate playoff aspirations.
A couple of things about that hot seat, though. Spanos is they're already cash strapped as well. Or they even, if they went 0-4 into the bye week, I mean, that's embarrassing. Nonetheless, they're already cash strapped. Would they be willing to fire Staley and then have to pay him out and then bring in another head coach to pay him? Like, that's a challenge in it. But let's not hope things get that far. I will bring up this final stat about the Chargers, though. The Chargers are 11-3. When Herbert throws for 270 plus yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Staley is 6-3 when this happens. Your boy Anthony Lynn was 5-0. And Anthony Lynn is there. Everybody, all the mud that they were slinging at Anthony Lynn, he was 5-0 when Herbert putting up these type of numbers, and Staley is struggling in his games. He's 66%. I mean, I'm baffled as to I think they're asking really too much of the defense, and as elaborate as complex as they want to get. I mean, some things you just have to kind of dial it down. Let's get the basics right, and then let's build on from there. Because as you mentioned, there's just too many talented players. Unless you're telling me that Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack are over the hill. If this is the assertion that we're gonna make, they're over the hill and they just can't get it done, okay, fair enough. You make Derwin James play all 6 positions in your defensive secondary. So maybe we just need to have him play 2, maybe 1, and find out who can play next to him, because you're just too complex, and maybe the guys just aren't getting it right. I mean, again, as I mentioned, just when you think about school, when you got that math assignment, either the teacher's not teaching it right, or you're not getting the concept. One of the two, we gotta work on one of them. We can't just keep throwing equations and fractions and decimals at you and just say get it all at one time. We can't just do it because obviously it's not getting done. Cleveland, what's your thoughts? Go ahead. I know you got something to say about Brandon Staley and the Los Angeles Chargers. I see you smirking over there. Go ahead and let it out.
Oh, well, Cam, the thing that I'm smirking about is your rosy recommendation of Anthony Lynn. Man, you threw him into the wood grinder when it was time a few years ago, and couldn't wait to get that new culture and that breath of fresh air that Staley was bringing in, and you had been endorsing that culture for years and years. Even though my man Tyler was saying you're wasting all of Justin Herbert's prime years when he's this guy throwing up these numbers. You're wasting it, man. You're wasting.
So you said that? You said all that? Oh, he pulled out the receipts.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. I mean,
and now you're 0-2, and now you realize and come to grips with this, Cam. The Chargers are not going to make the playoffs this year either. So he has to.
You don't think they're going to make the playoffs?
No, they're not making the playoffs.
No, he didn't have him making the playoffs. If he didn't
Austin
have him
Eckler, where's he at?
Here we go.
He's electric when he's there, but he's not there a lot. So yeah, this team is going nowhere. You know this. You have to watch the precipitous drop from where they were last year, barely making the playoffs, to now like, oh wow, what are we going to do about all of this? You can't blame the quarterback. You can't blame the offensive coordinator. You have to start pointing fingers in other directions. And unless they do something dramatically different in a hurry, this is not going to be the season, and Staley won't last the season.
This wow. Game on Sunday, boy. This is a pressure cooker on Sunday. We know how Minnesota is. I mean, I already don't have faith in Minnesota. I don't think I had them making the playoffs. I thought their 13-4 record was that was. I mean, what did they win? 8 games by 1 score or less last year. Like, just the ball doesn't bounce like that for you every single year. So I expected a significant drop off from Minnesota. So the 0-2 is not terribly surprising to me. But if they let Kirk Cousins come out here and throw for 300 yards and Justin Jefferson go ahead and catch a $150, like,
that's going to happen. So the question is,
it wouldn't be surprising.
What are you going to do after that happens? Like, once that happens, you have an answer for that? You start out 0-3.
I mean, woo. I mean, Ryan Tannehill is bad enough. Like, I'm looking at that game.
If Ryan Tannehill can hit you upside the head like that, you don't think Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson can do that?
The thing with Kirk Cousins, though, the Kirk Cousins is going. It's a lot of what do they say? Death by paper cuts. That's how he gets you. It's not going to. Ryan Tannehill came and walloped you over the head with a couple of big plays that really significantly changed that game. And Kirk Cousins is going to hit you.
Walloped you upside the head and didn't have Justin Jefferson in his back pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins is better than Ryan Tannehill, in my opinion. And he has a better receiver.
Slinging the ball for sure.
Yeah.
They're
Maybe
about
not the game manager, but slinging it, yeah.
Yeah, he has better receivers. Yeah, he has better weapons on. Kirk Cousins does have better weapons. So we're gonna see what happens in this game. Guys, talking about shaky quarterbacks. Is it the Peyton show? Is it the Russell Wilson show, Cleveland? I know you wasn't ecstatic with Peyton to begin with, but what's going on in Denver? Will Russell, talking about somebody finishing the season, will Russell Wilson finish the season at quarterback for the Denver Broncos?
Doesn't look likely, man. He looks punch drunk a little bit to me. He looks like when he was younger and kind of getting out of the pocket and kind of starting to see those lanes a little bit, he was better. But it feels like the league has caught up with him and knows how to kind of like cloak the defenses, so he just is like always like not being able to see what's
the spin move. The spin move don't work no more.
Spin move don't work no more. And then when you spit out, it's been 10, 11 years, and it's like, ooh, yeah, always second guessing himself. And now he's got this dictator at coach that doesn't have the fun-loving Pete Carroll. Like, that's okay, Russ. He's got the like, man, you make one more mistake, you might not be starting. So, yeah, it's
well, he told him he has another week. They might have to go to the wristband. They might have to go to the plays on the wristband, which was Sean Payton he digs deep for some slings, or he digs deep for some. I don't know if you spend any time around Bill Parcells, Tyler. But he seemed like I could see Bill Parcells digging deep for the things that really pain you the most and bringing them up for you against you in practice. And that's exactly what Sean Payton does. He dig deep for we might have to go to the wristband.
The Broncos might shock. They might shock your Dolphins this week. They might shock your Dolphins this week. They got good defense.
I'm gonna let that one. I'm gonna let that one slide. I'm gonna let that one slide right there. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna let that one slide. I'm not a good. I can't even respond to that one. Come on, are you kidding me?
They might shock your Dolphins this week.
Did you send a pick segment? Like I didn't hear the picks. I didn't hear the podcast this week. Did you put a pick segment? Was that one of your picks?
Nah. I did pick the Dolphins, but I wouldn't be. Hey, stranger things have happened. Any given Sunday,
been all over you for that one. Any given Sunday, yeah, you're right. Any given Sunday, you're right. Again,
teams are desperate. They don't want to be 0-3. Who's the most desperate team in that? Who's going to walk in that stadium? The Dolphins or the Broncos?
I mean, but when you're desperate,
just answer the question. Who's the more desperate team?
The Broncos are clearly the most desperate team. But if your toolbox is empty, if you don't have any bullets in that chamber, I mean, you can be a desperate if you want to be.
They got some bullets.
Come on, they can't run the game. We're talking about Russell is a shell of himself. Who's a receiver core? I mean, who's a receiver? Jerry Jeudy's not there. Who's a receiver? Who's the next receiver on the
I think Judy's gonna be back.
Mind you, Cam, that was a very odd game the way it ended. I mean, those guys were kind of putting it to the command
on a Hail Mary that Russell didn't even want to throw.
I'm just saying, listen carefully. They were kind of manhandling the Commanders early.
How often do you get the Hail Mary with the tip, and the receiver catches
some
it?
things as the coordinator got those guys like in that position to be in that.
Come on.
Yeah.
And then they let them right back in the game. It's a holding call.
We just talked about
how Tua in the end zone that wasn't called.
Cortland Sutton's a solid receiver. Jerry Judy's gonna be there.
We just talked about with the pace that Tua's on, and you guys are going to howl at me as a competition. This might well be Gordie Howe out there doing what he's doing against the Broncos defense. You don't think Tua Tagovailoa can have a better game than Howe and score more than 17 points? Get out! Get out of here!
That defense is kind of
both of you guys are losing credibility out here.
Yeah, the defense is pretty good. You got one of the better safeties.
Has been upright.
Yeah,
just saying.
You got Randy Gregory at pass rusher. Pastor Tan's nothing to sneeze at. He's one of the best corners in the league. I mean, Justin Simmons, we all know he's one of the best safeties in the NFL. Hey, the Broncos.
No excuses, no explanations if the Dolphins drop this one.
I can't believe you guys ought to be
coming to Hard Rock.
Oh my goodness!
Upset at Hard Rock.
So listen to you guys. Well, Aaron Rodgers is going to be back by the end of the season, huh? This is the same thought process you guys are having. Aaron Rodgers, the Jets need to prepare for Aaron Rodgers.
There's one reason that Aaron Rodgers is not coming back. It has nothing to do with his health. The Jets are not going to be in a position to be in the playoffs by the time he's even kind of close to being healthy. You saw them revert back to who they really actually were, which is why they
scrubs.
A team without a quarterback with a very dominant defense, a really strong running game, a very good receiving core, but no one to get the offense going, which is
very good receiver. Very good receiver.
Why they went and got Aaron Rodgers, but now he's not there. So
I think Garrett Wilson might be on the trading blocks. I think Garrett Wilson might be on the trading blocks here in a couple of weeks.
Come on, man. No,
I mean, really.
Just don't say that. That's not true. That's not true. You know that's not true. That's not true.
I mean, he gonna be so frustrated by week 5. He's gonna be like, well, what's going on? What's the real deal? In all seriousness, Barkley and Chubbs go down. Barkley was talking about trying to come back and play tomorrow night. Chubbs, we won't see Chubbs again, till next summer, I guess. Does this change your mind, Tyler, or about the running back fight for credibility or fight for the contract situation in the NFL? Did that have anything to do with changing your mind? I mean, obviously we got Jonathan Taylor still out. We haven't seen him this season. Austin Eckler, Cleveland mentioned, is out. These guys are just. I mean, it's a tough sledding playing a running back in the NFL.
It actually strengthens my opinion. I firmly believe that running backs should be able to renegotiate their deals after 2 years after their rookie contract. I mean, you look
there you go. Okay.
at the way running backs they do have a short shelf life. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. You can name the running back and look at their stats after 4 or 5 years. And so when I look at these running backs, they touch the ball the second most, other than the quarterback. They get the most touches, and they absorb probably the most hits of any other position, because even in plays they're not running, they're blocking for the quarterback. They're blocking 300-pound defensive tackles or edge rushers, linebackers. So all those hits accumulate on the body, and your running backs, it's just unfortunate. I mean, I saw Nick Chubb play. It's unavoidable, really. He has somebody on his back. He planted his leg, and before he can get his leg up, Mika Fitzpatrick tried to get him down in the leg, and his knee stayed on the ground. I mean, it was just an ugly type of situation. But we've seen that same tackle before on multiple running backs, and they blow out their knee. And you look at running backs like Austin Eckler, a sprained ankle. It seemed like a meaningless play, but a sprained ankle. If you have a sprained ankle as running back, you can't cut, you can't twist. So you can't be out there. And so when you get 20, 30 touches a game, you're going to get those knick-knack injuries, and every now and then you're going to get those season-ending or week-to-week type of injuries. And for Saquon Barkley, he's already got ruled out for the game against 49ers. Austin Eckler did not practice today. We'll see if he's going to be available for this weekend's game. They certainly do need him. But, yeah, I feel bad for running backs, and I feel when a new CBA is out, unfortunately it's not out for a while, but when it is out, I would hope that they negotiate a type of deal where running backs can renegotiate their contract situations after 2 years.
So, so much for Barkley's extra $900,000 that he was working on, then incentives laden. But
right.
not to
Same
get
with Eckler too. He's not going to get his incentives either.
Not to get too deep in the weeds on this, and what they got 8 years, I think, on this collective bargaining agreement.
2030.
2030. Okay, so what, 6 years after this season? The quarterbacks tried this a few years ago to try to have their own. When it was Brady, Manning, Drew Brees. They try to have their own little separate club. It didn't work for them. Like, if it didn't work for those guys, it's not going to work for the running back situation. For the running backs, is it? Could it possibly?
To push back on you, I mean, the quarterbacks loosely have their own. Because you look at what the quarterbacks are getting paid compared to everybody else, they loosely have their own category. It's not clearly defined. It's not a formal thing, but they loosely have their own contract situation because ain't no other position getting $40 million a year.
Right.
What other position?
I hear what you're saying.
Quarterbacks have their own situation.
Their base just keeps rising, and it's kind
right.
of. However, I mean, you do recall when they try to break off and have their own little agreement. To Shannon Sharp's point was this was a collective bargaining deal. I sent you the tape of Terrell Davis saying that the running backs need to have their own agreement, being able to, as you stated, renegotiate. He said after 3 years, I think, but I just don't see them being able to break off and have their own separate agreement if the quarterbacks weren't able to do it. I don't see the running backs being able to do it. Obviously, it makes sense. It's wise. It's respectable to do, considering all that you said the running backs go through. I just don't see that happening. And it's an unfortunate situation. I mean, it's a situation that can change. What's up, MJ? Kareem Hunt, they did sign him, I believe, right? They did sign the Browns. Did sign Kareem Hunt in exchange for Chubbs. Another article. I saw your article on Justin Fields today. He had an interesting interaction with the media.
The Bears had an interesting day. Total.
As a whole, right? But to start with Justin Fields, one of my questions was: is it too early to call Justin Fields a bust? Then this was before I heard him talk about, well, I'm just say F it and forget everything that they teach me. I'm just going to go out there and play the game. And he says he was playing too robotic, and then went on to say he's just going to go out and be me and think it could he wants to think less and just play harder. And some of that could be the coaching. As we talked about earlier, you fill these guys up with all different kind of schemes and concepts. And if they're not grasping it, like it doesn't matter what they do. What's your thoughts on Justin Fields' situation? I wasn't high on Justin Fields coming out of college. I thought he was inaccurate. That was the biggest complaint I had of him coming out of Ohio State. It was that he was inaccurate. In the NFL, he just doesn't seem to see these open receivers. What's your thoughts on Justin Fields, and is it too early to call him a bust?
So it's on both the player and the coaches. I do believe Justin Fields needs to develop more as a quarterback and the pocket passer, and his accuracy, his footwork as well. All that needs to be worked on and improved. He's not up to par with a lot of the other starting quarterbacks in the NFL in those areas. However, good coaches know how to cater to their players' skill set to put them in position to thrive based on their skill set. And the Chicago Bears have not done that this year. Now, to an extent, a little bit they did it last year when they got to be a more run-oriented team. And that's when the Bears started, making plays and competing a little bit. They were still losing, but competing a little bit. And this year, it just seems like Justin Fields, and he said it himself, he's robotic out there. He's thinking too much, and he's not really playing like himself. Justin Fields, even at Ohio State, he played free, he played loose. He would like to see receivers open and then pass it, which a lot of quarterbacks tend to do. And in the NFL, you can't really do that because defenses are going to catch on.
You need that anticipation, right?
Yes, you have to have that anticipation.
You need that anticipation,
and he lacks that.
right?
And he's always lacked that. But you can learn that with repetition. And he has not learned that. But also the Bears are not putting him in position to succeed. And so that's on the coaches. And that's not just on Justin Fields. It's the whole team.
So when you talk about repetition, repetition, they had Chase Claypool. They brought him in midway through the season. They brought in CJ Moore relatively early in the offseason. Is a lot of that on those guys to kind of get those reps in together, aside from training camp, because you're not going to get it all in training camp, but aside from on their own, to get a feel for each other, get a feel what routes they run, what routes they like best, and then take that to the coaching staff and say, these are some of the plays that we believe will get us open. Is some of that on the players, Tyler? You help me out, because that's in my thinking. That's what I think should be going on. But you've been around the game a little bit longer and more in depth. Is that accurate way of looking at it, or is that not reality?
Yes and no. Quarterbacks, naturally, they spend more time at the facility and more time studying than any other position. And naturally, you want to build that rapport with your receivers and your tight ends, anybody you're throwing the ball to. But it's a whole lot different when the bullets are flying on Sundays and you're going game speed. You can't replicate games in practice. So I don't care how many times you go to the park and throw with Moore or whomever. It's not going to be the same. Or even in training camp, it's not going to be the same than when you're at Soldier Field and going up against the Green Bay Packers on a Sunday and they're trying to knock your head off. It's totally.
But you still have that muscle memory to fall back on. You still have that muscle memory that fall back on. What is it? The comfortability. That's not the word I'm looking for. You have that
continuity.
You got continuity. You have that to count on, to rely upon. So in some of the senses, I believe, whether it's here in Birmingham, Alabama, in the park that they're playing at, they can still rely on some of that, even when the Packers are coming at you, with 7 men, with a 7-man front. It just seemed to me like they can work on that a little bit more. But I truly believe that coaches, as you mentioned, it's a coach's responsibility to get the best out of the players, put them in situations where they can be successful, whether that's rolling them out and having this tight end drag across the middle of the screen so we can focus on this one receiver. And at some point, this receiver is going to be open, focus on him, or to have their, 4-man wide receiver crossing route schemes, whatever they're trying to do with their guy to get their receivers open. But I think it is the coach's responsibility, to get the best out of the player by understanding what he can do best. And I don't watch the Bears enough to know what they're doing. I just see kind of some of the games he's not looking comfortable out there. And I don't know.
Too busy watching the Dolphins. Turn on the Bears game and stop watching the Dolphins.
The Bears aren't worth watching. Do something worth watching, and I'll watch you. How about that? Do something worth watching. I just hadn't seen enough of the Bears to say one way or the other. What I have seen is he doesn't look comfortable. What I have seen is he's a much better. I mean, he can run the ball. He ran the ball for 200 yards against the Dolphins. I saw that last year. That he had 200 yards rushing, and I did see that. So I just haven't seen. I expected more out of C.J. Moore, Chase Claypool. I expected more from those guys because I thought they would be better, I didn't think they'd be putting up a stinker. I certainly didn't expect to be asking this question, is he a bust in week 2?
He's not it's too early.
It's too early to say
still out. It's too early. But the coaches need to do a better job of putting him in positions to succeed. But he also needs to work and refine his game as well.
Which comeback were you most impressed with last week, Mr. Tyler? Were you impressed with the Giants comeback and Daniel Jones without Barkley, or were you impressed with the Geno-led Seattle Seahawks?
Well, the Arizona Cardinals are tanking, so I'm not going to be impressed with that. I'm more impressed with Geno Smith and Seattle Seahawks going up to Motown and still in that victory. After the Lions, I mean, they were riding high going up in that game. It was the home opener. They just beat the defending Super Bowl champions. And the Seattle, they lost their tough home opener against the Rams, and they went up in there and played well, played them to the finish, came back, rallied, and won that game. So I was very impressed with Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks.
So you say the Arizona Cardinals were tanking, but they were up in that game. Like the Giants needed a feverish comeback.
And then they lost. The Arizona Cardinals are looking at the 2024 draft. They're relevant this year. They'd be lucky to win 3 games.
I guess you're not going back to Arizona this year, are you?
I mean, I'll go back. I'm going to see them lose. They're not good. They're not. I'm just being real. They're not good.
Well, another team I thought wasn't going to be good was those Los Angeles Rams that you mentioned, and they got their win. I think their season kind of turned around when they went up to Seattle and got that win in Seattle. I didn't think they was expecting much going into the season, but they're like, whoa, surprised when they walked out of Seattle with that win. Are the Rams going to be better than we expected this season? Do you expect? And then the second question is a wild question, but do you think the Rams are going to be better than you anticipated this season? Let me see. Did you have the Rams doing anything in the playoffs? I don't think you had the Rams making the playoffs either.
You don't have to go back and look at the receipts. You don't have to go back and look at the receipts. I did not believe in Puka and Tutu at the beginning of the season. However, Puka, Nakua, and Tutu Atwell, they are balling right now. And I have to give the Rams credit. When they get Cooper Kupp back in the mix, they're going to have a legitimate offense, especially throwing the football. Now, the running game leaves a lot to be desired a little bit, but those 3 receivers you got, Cooper Kupp, Puka, and Tutu, yo, they're going to be good.
You got jokes. So my question,
and then you got Aaron Donald on defense.
So you brought up Puka. I mean, we've seen Tutu. I don't know. It's early in the season.
Don't hate on Puka and Tutu.
That's all I can say. Oh, well, it's not Puka. It's Tutu. He's been in the league. This is what, year 4 for him. I mean, we kind of.
But he's playing better now. He's playing better now.
Okay. Was Cooper Kupp a system receiver?
Stop madness. You don't say this about any Dolphins players. Stop the madness.
I mean, Cooper Kupp. Puka came in here, got 25 catches in 2 weeks.
Cooper Kupp. We talking about Cooper Kupp.
What are we talking about? What are we talking about?
Cooper Kupp.
Cleveland. I mean, he's a Northwest kid. He went to the same high school as my mom, so I'm not hating on Cooper. I'm asking a legit question. Cleveland, what do you see? What's your answer to that one?
Yeah, it's kind of embarrassing when after 2 weeks you compare Puka to NFL MVP of the league. I mean, historic numbers. Yeah.
I'm sorry. You tell me the last receiver who got 25 catches in the first 2 weeks.
I don't want to put that kind of high regard. I'm quite possibly the best slot receiver of his generation. Yeah.
Again, you tell me the last receiver to catch 25 passes in the first 2 weeks.
Okay, well, like you're saying, I don't think Puka is going to be in the NFL MVP category this year. So not really a system thing.
He might be rookie of the year.
No, that was a crazy.
And that's a crazy question. Kind of a stretch, right?
It is a stretch, but he's in the running right now.
No, he's in the running. He's balling. He's balling. So that was a crazy question. Fair enough. But what was crazier was Sean McVay kicking the field goal with 4 seconds on the clock. I mean, do we have to change some bank accounts? Kind of see
that certainly changed my bank account for sure. Yeah, I'm not happy with that at all. They had no chance of winning that game whatsoever, and it went from 10 to 7.
Have we talked about over the last couple of years, Tyler? Have we talked about Deshaun Watson? Again, this is a guy who I wanted to before the whole scandal. I was prepared to send Tua to Houston for Deshaun Watson before the whole scandal broke out, and even after the scandal, I was still willing to give them a 2 and a 3 for Deshaun Watson. Have we seen the best of Deshaun Watson?
So I'm going to ask you a question. I just want a yes or no. I'm asking you both. If you stopped doing the Voice of the Fans podcast for 2 years and did not do a podcast anymore, and then came back 2 years later from scratch and did the Voice of the Fans podcast, would you be as good as you are now? Both of you, yes or no?
No. It would be different. It would definitely be different.
Okay.
It would take some time to get back up to speed at the level that we are at present. I think the question is that a possibility? I certainly see it. I mean, I see the flashes of brilliance. I just don't see the consistent body of work. And again, last year, I think you can kind of write that off, that he was just kind of jumping right back in and just kind of like, trying to get some game reps in and, kind of fulfill some of the obligations of his contract. This being the next year, he's been through a full training camp. I thought they looked pretty good that first game with the chubby guy running the ball. The second game, without the chubby guy, it seemed like the wheels kind of fell off a tad bit, and that security blanket was kind of, ripped from his
no, they still have
his arm.
For over 100 yards. Ford rushed for over 100 yards, so the running game was still there. I mean, I guess 70 yards was on one carry, but the
running game. But I mean, it's certainly an emotional jolt to the system when you lose you're the focal point of your offense. It's certainly a running game. So the question is, can he recover? My thing is, I hope that he can recover before there's too much film. I'm one of those guys, Tyler, that the longer the season goes on and you haven't gotten to that point, the faster everyone kind of catches up with what you can't do very well and exposes you. So my hope is that he's able to do that. I still kind of, I'm on the fence about it. I mean, I'm optimistically hopeful that he can kind of continue to do it, but am I supremely convinced that he's Deshaun Watson from 3 years ago? No.
So I'm optimistic that he can. It's just going to take some time. And in today's NFL, a lot of people don't have any time. People don't believe in time. We're all impatient. But ironically, last game against the Steelers, I think that was the best game I've seen Deshaun Watson play since he left Houston. And he was bad. He wasn't even good. But it was the first time where I saw multiple glimpses of the old Deshaun Watson. That back shoulder throw to Amari Cooper, that was his best throw in the Cleveland Browns uniform. I saw him scramble for a first down. I haven't really seen a play like that since his Houston days, the 2-point conversion play. So there were multiple plays. I'm like, okay, I do remember that guy.
He also had some turnovers that were like,
he definitely. And he did not play good. Not play good. But it was the first time where I saw him and I saw multiple glimpses of the Deshaun Watson that we were all accustomed to in Houston when he was in his heyday. So that gave me some optimism that he can get back to the level, but it's going to take some time. And now he does not have the best offensive player in the team, Nick Chubb. So that's going to hinder his growth too. So I think by week 10, week 12, 11, then we'll probably see more glimpses. But it'll probably be a little bit too late. I don't have the Browns in the playoff picture.
Yeah, I don't have the Browns in the playoff picture either. Speaking of the playoff picture, Tyler, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, give you a chance to modify your picks, your playoff picks. Because, again, you didn't have the Dolphins in the playoff picture, yet you have the Bengals and the Chargers in the playoff picture for the AFC. Having Buffalo, Baltimore, Jaguars, and KC winning their division, which they can't argue that one, but you have the Jets, Bengals, and Chargers coming in filling out that AFC playoff picture. Do you want to modify that now for the Voice of the Fans podcast? We're giving you a chance to modify that today.
Okay, I will modify it. I'm not going to give him my order 1 through 7, but I will give you 7 AFC playoff teams. I have the Chiefs in there.
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 AFC West teams. I'm going to say the Chargers, even though I might take them out next week. So I have Chiefs and Chargers. That's 2.
Depending on what happened in Minnesota.
Out of the AFC South, I have 1, the Jaguars. That's 3.
Mm-hmm.
AFC North.
Baltimore.
Baltimore, yes.
Playing the best.
That's 4. Do I give 5? I'm going to say the Bengals. That's 5. And then in the AFC East, I have Miami and Buffalo. So look, I got Miami in there.
So you think Buffalo? You're not too down on Josh Allen. You think Josh Allen's going to get the ship righted?
Yeah, he played well last game against. I mean, it was against the Las Vegas Raiders, but he played well. Okay. All right. Well, all right. So So you can't come back on the show since you modified and included the Dolphins in the playoffs. Let the people know, Tyler, where they can find you. We appreciate you joining the show as always, man. You bring some nice introspective for us and stuff the fans can think about. I don't know about the Broncos and beating Miami this weekend. I mean, again, you're if the Broncos win, I'm gonna text you too.
I know you will.
Text him. I see where you were going with that.
Oh yeah, we got to get a group text going. I'm gonna text all 3, both of y'all.
We know you'll have one when the Dolphins are up by 30 come Sunday.
I will see.
Let the people know where they can find you.
Yeah, they can follow me on X at the Tyler Dragon.
Well, once again, we thank you for tuning into the Voice of the Fans podcast. Thank you for your time, man. Go ahead, kiss the wife. Oh, you want to let the people know? Give them an announcement? I should have asked you that earlier. Do we have a date? Do we have a date on the little dragon?
Yeah, little T. It's a boy. See, I'm wearing blue.
Congratulations.
January 8th. That's the due date. Thank you. Appreciate
it. Congratulations, man. Congratulations on the wedding. Congratulations on a little T, man. We'll look forward to that, man. And thank you for your time. Go ahead, kiss the wife for us, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. I'll talk to y'all later. Have a good one.
Yeah, bro.
I'll talk to y'all on Sunday when the Broncos beat the Dolphins.
Please do that. Exclusive. Screenshot.
All right, Chief. All right. Well, yeah, come on. Yeah, I'm getting now. I got some. Oh, you guys are kidding me with this Dolphins Broncos talk all of a sudden. All of a sudden, you're a Broncos fan now, Cleveland. Come on.
No.
Come on.
But I see how it's possible for sure.
So the Rams trade Cam Akers to the Vikings.
Good move.
For the Vikings, you like that for the Vikings? You gonna go ahead and pick him up on your fantasy squad?
Madison was not the answer. Clearly, they realized the error in their ways, letting Dalvin Cook.
Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in, MJ. We appreciate you, bro.
Yeah.
Clearly, they realized the error of their ways because, man, that's a wild shot to. Yeah, they had to find a replacement, but Akers have been trying to look for Akers have been looking for the landing spot for the last couple of years. Him and McVay didn't. I mean, I guess they didn't like dinner together, so they've been looking for a different place for him along the way. Cleveland, I mentioned this to you before. I think that that tush push is a legal play, and it should be altered. I wanted to ask Tyler about that, but we got to let him go. I think that tush push the Eagles have made so famous is a ridiculous call and should be altered. I don't think that should be illegal anymore in the NFL. Also, what's your thoughts on Chandler Jones, man? This has to be the weirdest bunch of superstars. Chandler Jones and his brother John Jones just have to be. What's up with these guys? What's up? Chandler Jones is a great player, been through a lot of ups and downs in his career. As with his brother John Jones is, arguably one of the best UFC fighters, but he can't get his head straight. What's going on over there in the Jones household, you think?
Cam, as I've told many people, I don't say the Pouncey brothers and I don't say the Jones brothers 3 times in the mirror.
Yeah,
I don't comment on why they do what they do or how they do what they do, other than to just say that's an interesting bunch.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, we'll leave that one alone. Moving right along. What was your most impressive win of the weekend, Cleveland?
Most impressive win of the weekend. I'm gonna have to say the Seahawks, man. Just given the way they looked the first game and all of the deficiencies that I saw on defense and the inadequacy on offense, their ability to turn it around on offense was super crazy. And then the turnovers that they had on defense was like, wow. I mean, that was on the road at that. And then to send, get the game into overtime and then get the first possession. When's the last time you saw a Seahawks team get the first possession and go all the way down the field and score a touchdown?
I mean, Gino is on his. Gino had something to prove again from week 1, but some of that was golf too. I mean, that was the bad golf that we've come to know. It wasn't just Super Bowl.
300 plus. I mean, they ran the
ball. Yeah, but he threw a pick there that was like, dude, like that.
The pick six was a little. Yeah, a little odd.
That was that golf from his rookie year. So, I mean, come back and win on the road in the NFL. Obviously, that's a good win. You can't discount that. I did have the Lions in that game. I picked the Lions at least in that game. But to come back and win, that was a good win. And as you mentioned, to get the ball overtime, drive down and win. I'm not sure that was a touchdown. Tyler Lockett touching the pylon. I mean,
the touchdown was a touchdown. The hold they didn't call. That was, if I was in Detroit, wow, I would have lost a lot of sleep over that one.
I mean, so it was a good win, yes, because you went on the road. But the best win of the weekend, I don't know. I think I had the best weekend. Obviously, Dolphins doing what they did. That was a good victory.
That was the
best
Falcons.
I think that the Falcons. I had Green Bay in that game, but the Falcons, I mean, they rallied. Jordan Love, okay. Man, I was ready to hang up a Jordan Love jersey in the rafters at Lambeau Field, and then the Falcons came out late in that game and made a game of it. And was between Bijan and between Ritter, like they was able to pull that one out. I was impressed by the Falcons winning that game.
That was okay, but as we're kind of talking about it. I really, I'm thinking like, what are your thoughts on like the two teams getting bullied, getting their heads held below water, drowning, and then just, fight themselves up and, beat the hell out of the other team. When I'm saying this, I'm talking about the Commanders, getting their head held against, underwater 21-3, jumping up, beating up the Broncos. Same thing with the Giants, getting their head held, below water, 20-0 at halftime, outscoring the Cardinals 31-8 in the second half.
So to Tyler's point, the Cardinals
might be tanking, but I mean, still 31-8.
Yeah, I was surprised that
I was 31 points in a half. I
was surprised. Yeah, you're right. I was surprised that they were up. I was surprised that they were up. Yes, you're right, to your point. And then the Giants fighting back because if they lose that game, if the second half goes like the first half was, they would have been shut out in back-to-back games in 8 quarters. I think at one point they were 70-0. 60-0. They're scoring differentials. Yeah. So turning that around was impressive. Yes, that was impressive, and just reviving themselves. So good on the Giants. I think it was the Cardinals. So it was the Cardinals. So let's go through our picks that we had this week. Well, I guess you want to talk about the worst losses. We talked about the Chargers. That was absolute to lose to Ryan Tannehill, and that was.
No, that they lost to the Tennessee Titans, Cam. I know how you like to single out, Tannehill for
Tannehill was 20 for 24, Cleveland. 20 for 24, and a couple big bombs at crucial times in the game to pull that win off. And it wasn't like against Jacksonville. Well, in a sense, it was like against Jacksonville. But what I'm saying, there wasn't a kick return. There wasn't an pick six. It wasn't that type of flip that allowed the Titans to stick in that game. It was just they shut down the offense on the third down when they needed to. I think the Chargers went 3 for 13 or 2 for 11 or something like that. Something crazy like that on third down. And the Chargers got the ball in overtime. They immediately went 3 and out. Again, the Chargers, they fired Joe Lombardi. I mentioned in the offseason that they scapegoated him. The offense was not the problem. They had injuries on the offense. The receivers couldn't go deep because they were limited. They were injured. So I wasn't blaming the offensive futility on the reasons that the Chargers couldn't win last season. It was because of defense. And we're seeing that again this week, where the Titans, Cleveland, literally scored in the last 15 games. They scored 15. They averaged 15 points. And they come out and score 27 on you. Come on. And this is after you give up 215 yards receiving to one receiver. Granted, Tyreek Hill is arguably the best in the game, but after you give up, you seem like you would seem like that you would tighten up that side of the ball, and they're unable to do that. And again, this weekend against another high-powered, I don't even call it high-powered because I'm not that confident in Kirk Cousins, but they're going up against the best receiver in the game, or one of, and then Kirk Cousins can't get on the ball. Like if you had Kirk Cousins on your fantasy team, you got an excellent quarterback. He's going to get you yards and points, but is he going to win the game? Probably not so much. So the Chargers need to tighten it up quick. I thought the Packers for 3.5 quarters. You talking about somebody coming back or maybe they took their foot off the neck because they had the Hawks or the Falcons. They had control of that game, and then they let the rookie quarterback, or he's not a rookie now, and Bijan Robinson, they let them guys come back in that game and gave up their lead. Maybe that's youth, but again, I thought Jordan Love through 3.5 quarters was looking pretty prime time-ish, if you will, and they end up losing that game. So that was my worst loss. And then the Lions or the Broncos, however you want to put it, was another loss. The Broncos, man, come on. Man. How often do you see a Hail Mary tip, and the ball gets tipped into the end zone and the receiver catches it? You don't see that very often. You don't see that happen very often.
Rare occurrence.
You don't see that very often. So let's look at our picks for this past week, Cleveland. The games that you had Atlanta, so you were confident in Atlanta for whatever reason. I had Green Bay winning that game, so you won that game. We both lost in Detroit, the Chargers. I had Indy. Too bad the young quarterback went out. Even though I know you don't want to talk about Minshew. What school did Minshew go to? Gardner Minshew. What school did he go to?
Can't recall.
Huh?
Can't recall.
It was school up in Washington, though. What school was that?
Did you go to Western?
And another school that started with a W. Gardner Minshew though, he put up a lot of points against
Whitman. You go to Whitman.
Oh, listen to this guy. I had Washington. You had Denver. Washington obviously was able to pull that one out. You had Baltimore. I had Cincinnati. I mean, should we be concerned? Is it too early to be concerned about the Bengals at 0-2?
It is if Joe Burrow can't stay healthy and that calf thing is really a thing, and it takes like 3 or 4 weeks to heal. Yeah, it might be. It might be a little late to.
Would you consider sitting him down? Would you consider sitting him down?
Well, I mean, Jamar Chase said that earlier. I don't want to really see it till week 4, till you're 100%. He felt like he was 100%, and obviously once you sign the contract, why don't you roll yourself on out there? So, I think it kind of went hand in hand. Thought it felt pretty good. I mean, you tweak those kind of injuries. I mean, it's a tweak. What are you gonna do? But it's week 3, and we're in it.
It's time to get shape up. I mean, go get an extra massage or something. You had the Patriots over the Dolphins. We see how that turned out. We know how that turned out. We both had New Orleans over the Panthers and the absolute stinker in the Browns and the Steelers. I mean, the Browns and the Steelers, I had Cleveland. The Steelers were able to win that game, but there were just the Steelers. The Browns looked terrible. The Browns looked terrible. Deshaun looked horrible. I don't know what else to say. Deshaun Watson looked horrible in that game. He had a couple good players that Tyler pointed out, but for the most part, the turnovers he had. We talked about Russell with his little spin move rolling out, and what's your favorite line to say about football players? Your favorite line you like to say about football players? How do they age?
They age in dog years, Cam.
And Deshaun Watson, man, I don't know. Has he aged? I mean, he hasn't been on the field, but has he aged? I don't know. I mean, as the game,
it's not that he's aged because he's too young to have aged, but perhaps the game, if you're not into it, you're not engaged, it has a way of kind of passing you by. Like Tyler was saying, it's like if you sit out, but we're sitting out of a podcast, we're not sitting out of an NFL game. That's a different kind of thing to sit out of for 2 years.
Yeah,
and then
I mean, just
inject yourself as the same player you were 2 years ago. Tough to do. And we're seeing how tough it is to do. What was I guess the latest memory we have of this is Le'Veon Bell. He decided to sit out and make some rap movies or rap videos, and he came back, was not the same guy when he came back, right? That's, I guess, when you're rehabbing, at least you're still mentally. You have to at least be around it, right, Cam? You have to at least be, kind of around the guys and taking the reps and stuff. I mean, you see it with quarterbacks that are exiled, and all of a sudden they get their second chance and they do great things, but.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wishing the best for Deshaun, but right now we're just seeing him go through some terrible play right now. I had the Raiders plus 9.5, and they just got completely walloped by the Bills. That wasn't close. Washington, I took Washington plus 5, and I took Miami minus 2.5, and I won both of those. Cleveland, you had Arizona plus 5. That was a no-go. KC minus 3.
That's a win.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry, I take that back. KC minus 3, obviously a win, and you already knew Bill wasn't going to help you out against my Dolphins. Bill Belichick wasn't going to help you out. So win the week by 1 point, actually, when you combine everything. Our points – oh, shit, that's one thing I didn't add was our points against the spread. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Real quick, fans. I did not add the points against the spread. I'll give you an update on how we did that. I'm sure I won that category, but let me know.
Points against the spread, we tied. We're both 2-2. 2 out of 3.
Oh no, excuse me. Our confidence picks. That's what I'm referencing. Our confidence picks.
Oh yeah, we tied with those as well. We both lost our.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
Check
so. Yeah, I'm looking at it. So I had Green Bay Green Bay 1 pick, Philly, San Francisco, Philly for 2, San Francisco with 3, Buffalo with 4, Dallas with 5. And yeah, I was 14 points. You had Detroit with 1, Philly, Dallas, 49ers, and Buffalo. And yeah, we both tied there as well. So right now, Cleveland, you're up on the season by 6.5 percentage points, which I'll make up in no time. I mean, that's water under the bridge. I'll make that up this week, likely. Looking at the games this week, Cleveland, we both have the Niners. I have Tennessee over Cleveland. Tennessee is more consistent. Not that I like Tannehill over Deshaun. I just think Tennessee, the way they play. I mean, Vrabel's a good coach. He's a very underrated coach, and he just has those guys playing consistent football. Stop the run, run the ball, stop the run. That's what they do consistently. I got Tennessee beating Cleveland, and plus Cleveland's trying to figure out how life without Chubb, so they're going to be in trouble. We both had Detroit. We both had Green Bay. It turns out you did put the Dolphins over the Broncos. We got the Chargers over, and that was a tough game to pick, actually, the Chargers and the Vikings. The Chargers traveling to Minnesota again. That's a tough game to pick. I'm leaning – I obviously picked the Chargers, but I think that's one of my games of the week is the Chargers versus the Vikings. I'll get to that later. Jets over New England. You're going with New England again. You're going with New England again over the. I guess it is Bill Belichick against a young quarterback, huh? It is. That's good concept there. I took the Jets defense. Pretty much slowing down with New England.
And they will. They hold them to very few points.
Would you got a 9-0 game in this one?
I got a 17-12, 17-15, something like that.
Oh boy. Okay. We both agree with Buffalo, Jacksonville, Baltimore, Seattle, KC, Dallas, Pittsburgh, Philly, and Cincinnati. So we agree on. There's only a few games that we actually disagree on. Again, the points against the spread. I got Detroit minus the 3.5 against the Falcons. I got Green Bay minus the 2.5 against the Saints, and I got Cincinnati. I got Cincinnati getting off the snide against the Rams. They play the Rams, who, the Rams look competitive against Seattle and put up a stinker against the Niners.
The Niners, I mean, they were okay. They were so.
Confidence picks. I didn't post my confidence picks for this week either. Let me see what we did for our confidence picks here. Confidence picks. I got Miami for 1, Cincinnati for 2, KC with 3, San Francisco with 4, Dallas with 5. You got KC with 5, Dallas with 4, San Francisco with 3, Philly with 2, and the Seahawks with 1. So we'll see how that shakes out for this week here. But those are our picks for this week, Cleveland. Yeah, and so the games of the week I have, Cleveland, I don't know what your games of the week are, but my games of the week is the Saints versus the Packers. I want to see if the Packers can rebound. Again, I really thought Jordan Love looked good for 3.5 quarters. Can they finish the job this week? I got the Chargers versus the Vikings, as we mentioned. And then the Steelers and the Raiders. I think that's going to be that old historical game. That classic game is going to be kind of my game of the week. What's your game of the week?
Right now, Cam, the game of the week has to be the Chargers and the Vikings, right? Whoever loses that game is out of playoff contention. So, I mean, that is do or die in every sense of the word, right? We're on the same page with that, right?
Yeah, that's a winner.
The loser of this game will not make the playoffs, right?
Right. Again, I didn't have Minnesota in the playoffs last year. I thought last year the ball just bounced their way every game. I mean, again, they won 8 games, if my memory serves me correct, with one score games. They won 8 of those, and I just didn't expect that to happen this week again, or this season again. Those type of things don't go year to year to year. So I didn't expect them to be in contention this season anyway. The Chargers, again, this defense, I'm really concerned about the defense. And I just gave the teacher analogy. Like if the teacher, when you got that test or when years ago they tried to say the teachers' test scores, hold the teachers accountable for the test scores of the students, right? I don't know. Was that a thing in Seattle? I know it was in LA that they try to hold the teachers accountable for the test scores, saying if the teachers are doing an effective job, the kids will learn. Therefore,
yeah. No, that's not a very good analogy when it comes to the NFL because it's all about talent. And we go back and forth about this, Cam. Is it your scheme or is it the talent? It's always the talent.
Cleveland,
it's always the talent. You cannot draw up plays if there's no talent to execute the plays. Now, to your point, if you have a whole bunch of talent and you can't draw up any plays for these cats to be successful,
that's the point. That's more the point I'm making with the Chargers again. Unless you're telling me that Joey Bosa is over the hill, if you're telling me that Khalil Mack is over the hill, The question, the jury is out on Kenneth Murray, but this is his third year. Like Kenneth Murray is big, is 6'4". 260 pounds, runs a 4.4. Like if you can't coach this guy into being a wrecking ball, like there's something wrong with your coaching scheme, right?
Coaching scheme. Yeah.
I'm telling you, if you have Derwin James, there's no one who understands football, who watches football, to say Derwin James is not one of the best safeties in the NFL. No one can tell you that. But if you have him playing all 6 positions in the defensive secondary, like you're not able to build the continuity with whoever's playing next to him. If he goes up and you have him play corner on this play, now who's in your back? Who's playing his position? Like all these guys aren't in the right mode. Put them at one position. Your strong safety, your free safety. Let your cornerbacks play.
Let him dominate that position, and then let everyone else play.
Fill in the rest. Fill in the rest. That's not a hard concept. But when you keep to me, it's not. But when you keep moving them around all over the field and thinking that because they won't know we're going to hit him with this, they won't know he's coming off the side this line. Okay, well your defensive backs who are replacing Derwin James, they don't know what the hell they're doing back there. So maybe that's not the best situation to keep moving this guy around, in my opinion. That's one of the things I would love to. Derwin's going to tell me he's a football player. He'll play any position. I already know that. That's what he'll say to that response. But I like to ask the coach, are we making it more difficult for your records of your secondary when you keep moving this guy around? Nobody can get a feel for where he is. I mean, as much as you think you're surprising the offense, you're surprising your defense just as well because they don't know what they're doing. So, I really like to see what's going on there. I really like to kind of get an understanding of what's going on there, but I think that's a problem the Chargers are going to have to figure out. Staley's going to have to figure out. Again, there was just some things that Ryan Tannehill go 20 for 24 against you. It like that caught my attention. All that you've been talking about the last 2 years, that caught my attention more so than them giving up 27 points against Jacksonville Jaguars in the playoffs. That caught my attention. So again, fans, those we gave you the games of the week there. Let's thank Tyler for joining in on the NFL talk this week. Cleveland, we got some things going on in hoop, man. Hoop season is a month away. Training camp start next month. They actually have the rainy day. What was it last year? What did they call it last year? The rainy day festival. What did they call the game when they played? The Clippers came up there. The rainy day something, right? The Clippers went up and played at Climate Pledge Arena. That's a week away. Excuse me, that's less than a month away. Excuse me, October 10, I believe that date is. So the basketball season is upon us. Is the point I'm making. Training camps start a month from today, most of them, and then less than 2 months we have NBA action in your favorite time of year. You get to see your in-season tournament. Cleveland, are you excited about seeing your in-season tournament?
I absolutely am, Cam, to see how this thing kind of unfolds, at least in its first iteration. There will be others as the tournament progresses over the years. But yeah, let's get this first one under our belt.
What do you think Giannis is I don't want to say I don't want to say he's selling wolf tickets, but do you think Giannis is threatening to leave? Is just his threat to leave Milwaukee legit? Can we see Giannis in New York or LA here in the next couple of years?
Yeah, Cam, your worst nightmares have been prognosticated. I see the look on your face, man. I know it, Cam. I know it. How does this keep happening to them? I know it, Cam. It's not fair, huh? It's not fair, huh? It's not fair.
Come on. Do the right thing, Giannis. Do the right thing, Giannis. Stay in Milwaukee. Get you a chip.
Cam,
and be happy.
Thanasis and Giannis are heading out west after next year.
I don't know if you heard Dame with Cameron and Mace. Dame declared himself the best point guard in the game today.
That's great, and he should feel that way.
Do you agree with Dame?
All point guards should feel like they're the best at their position. Otherwise, why would they be great if they didn't feel that way?
Yeah,
no,
that's
not,
yeah.
No, that's not true.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that concept as well. I don't disagree with that concept.
Yeah, but no, that's not true.
We all need to have confidence in ourselves. Everybody needs to have confidence in themselves and what we're doing. Whatever you're doing, you need to have confidence in what you're doing. Says he'll never join a super team, yet he's trying to force his way to the Miami Heat. What's your thoughts on that?
Miami is far from a super team, so he would just be a very big cog contributing piece. They're not a super team by any stretch of the imagination.
I mean, forcing your way to go play with Pat Riley, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, that doesn't make them.
Yeah, no, that's not a super team. No.
Come on, man. What's your thoughts? What's your thoughts on Kevin Porter, man? Do you have any thoughts on Kevin Porter? Oh, we touched on this last week, didn't we? I'm sorry.
Perhaps it's the same. Tortured soul won't be in the league much longer.
Here's a better question I have, Cleveland. I know since you like pandering to your friend Steve Ballmer, and you like to make all your comments and jokes about the Clippers. Let's assume the Clippers do not win a championship this season.
Okay.
And you could easily assume that. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard's contract is up at the end of the year. The only way you would re-sign them both, I would think, is if they did win a championship. But we're making the assumption that they do not win the championship this year. Who do you re-sign?
Paul George.
Oh, quick! Yeah, that was quick and easy, huh? You didn't even know time to think about that one, huh?
No.
Okay, so is Paul George? So this is Paul George's team, but is that what you're telling us? Is that what you're telling the fans today? This is a Paul George team, the Clippers are?
He's the more durable and the more cost-effective player. I don't think Kawhi has played 50 games in the last 3 years, has he?
Yeah, not much more, but yes, he wasn't available. He wasn't available for the
50 to 60 games in the last
2 years ago. He played like 65 games, just wasn't available for the playoffs.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah. Okay, all right. So that's kind of my. I don't have much more basketball prep other than that. You got what's tickling your fancy in regards to the NBA?
Nothing, Cam. I mean, let's get this training camp over with. Let's see how this tournament goes, and not too much to write home about so far. We'll see how these players come back from the FIBA experience. Are they better or worse for it? And how does that contribute to helping their team out? That's
an interesting dynamic because typically the players who do participate in the USA in Team USA, not only are they getting I know you don't think coaching matters, but they get the best coaching in Steve Kerr, Ty Lue, Eric Spoelstra. They have the best coaches working on helping them develop their game. And oftentimes we see, though this year was kind of unique in the sense that there was no veterans in this round of players. So there was no Stephen Curry's, there was no Damian Lillard's, there was no LeBron James, there was no Giannis, playing for America's team, I'm speaking, Giannis Antetokounmpo. No real veterans of the game, right? All of them were kind of young players, still kind of learning their way, right? And so usually when there's that veteran players, they can steal some techniques. When Kobe was playing in 2008, he could kind of teach LeBron, Dwayne Wade, kind of some skills stuff that he had picked up over his years of playing in the Team USA. They kind of share iron sharpens iron, right? So they get to share and sharpen each other's game. Well, with the bunch of young players, like who was the leader on that team, right? Who was the players were looking up to, where I can steal from this guy, I can steal from this guy, I can steal from this guy to make my game better. Paulo Banchero, right? Who was he stealing from? Like, he didn't have a big guy to steal from. Who was he? Jaren Jackson Jr.? Like, and I'd be disappointed if he was taking much from his game other than the block shots. But at 6'10", that's not something you can 6'10" with the athleticism that Jaren Jackson hit. That's not really you can't really pass that trait along. You follow what I'm saying? That's not something you can just pick up on, right? So who was Paulo picking up on? Who was Austin Reeves? I guess Austin Reeves could look at Anthony Edwards and steal something from Anthony Edwards' game a little bit. But you laughed at me when I brought up Josh Hart. Who is Josh Hart picking up? Who is he talking to? Whose game is he picking apart? He doesn't have the size of a Brandon Ingram, so he can't really pick apart his game and implement that into his game. So it's kind of a weird mix. Like and that's usually what happens in being in this Team USA. They have veterans to steal from. And who are they stealing from in this game? You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. No, and Cam, they threw a U26 team out there. I don't think that there was really anybody really, other than maybe is Brandon Ingram even 26? I'm not even sure he is. I mean, like, it was a very
close
youthful team, and kind of see what you can do, and we'll try and put the pieces together. Maybe some players gain some confidence. Maybe some players, kind of recalibrate where they are with regards to where they think they are in the league, and getting to play these other NBA players in their home country settings. So you're getting to play Luka with his home team. You're getting to play some of these other Germany won the whole thing with Schroeder and those guys. Like, how you feel about that? I mean, it's an experience, and we'll see how they carry it coming into the next season.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how these young players, and that's one thing that I'll be looking at. Having talked to some of these guys in the past, talking to, how am I having a brain fart? De'Aaron Fox is one guy that comes on my mind immediately. Jason Tatum's another guy. Marcus Smart's another guy who's on the team. Even PJ Tucker was a guy who played for Team USA, who was able to talk about what he's able to take from his experience with Team USA and apply to his basketball game. More so, obviously, PJ has been defense and three-point shooting. But all these guys usually their veterans that they were able to take from. And it's interesting that they really were no veterans there. So it would be interesting to see how some of these young guys come back, Cleveland. Let's take a break here, Cleveland. When we come back, man, we're going to finish out the show. And I want to talk about we can't go a show without talking about the Heisman race, and then Colorado and CSU. Did you watch Colorado and Colorado State University? Did you watch? Were you one of the 12 billion people that watched the game?
Certainly did, Cam. Lots of takeaways from that one.
Yeah, so let's take a quick break, and we come back. We're going to talk about primetime, aka Daddy Bucks, when we come back.
Uh-huh.
Am I speaking to right now?
Cameron.
My name
Cameron.
Cam Buford.
I'm a Dolphin fan.
There's always room for improvement.
This is a big year for Tua to prove that he's a franchise quarterback.
I'm more a fan of boxing. Boxing is my main sport.
As a competitor, how much does that competitive spirit get in there and say, I want to fight this guy. I want to get some of this guy.
Of course, I want to fight all the guys. Of course that. But at the same time, like I keep telling you, it's a business.
Talk about that loyalty for a moment.
I'm staying there to try to make a change. Give back to the youth, give back to my community and show them that there is hope that you can make it out. Only thing is you just got to be dedicated. You got to keep your head down and stay on this course that you're heading towards.
Think about it like this. The promoter pays the fighter. The fighter pays the manager.
Okay.
So the manager works for the fighter. The fighter works
for the promoter. Okay.
If you can see, you can believe.
So you are lifting weights currently?
No. When he said it's easier to score in the NBA versus Europe, did you agree with them?
To me, it's easy to score all over the world.
Aaron, what has the game of baseball taught you?
One of the biggest things is being humble.
Can you give a message to the kids to kind of persevere through the false teachings they may be giving?
Patience.
Okay.
Patience.
As the show voice of the fan,
oh my goodness,
continues to evolve.
You were adding some spice to it.
It is strictly banter back and forth between myself and Cameron Buford.
I enjoy all of it.
The real ones know what's going on, right?
Like you said, Pacific Northwest. So I think it's a big part of my game. And every time I step on the floor, I just want to represent myself.
You play this game and you don't turn to win a championship, then why are you playing for?
I'm happy for the Mariners. I'm happy
Yeah,
for the
nobody.
Never mind.
Go watch the tape. Go watch the tape, and then you tell me if it was all about just a system.
You look like a buffoon.
Go do your research. Go do your study.
Oh, this guy.
That's what's good in sports, man. It's the big Snoop Dogg, man.
That's what's good in sports. Hey, man, thanks for making our voice your choice. You know how we do. Yeah.
Yes, sir, fans. Thank you guys for tuning in once again to the Voice of the Fans podcast. This is week 258 of the Voice of the Fans podcast. If you've been a fan of the show or listening to the show for as long as we've been doing the show, we thank you. We appreciate you. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and tell a friend about the podcast. We do this. Cleveland, this started out years ago as a labor of love, man. But now this actually turning into something. I'm here, if you guys don't know, for those of you who do or don't know, I'm here in Alabama studying for my master's in journalism. And actually, this last semester classes gave me the wisdom, I should say, and the tools, the wisdom and the tools, Cleveland, to take this thing a step further. They actually gave me some direction where we've been doing this just for, again, it's just a labor of love. I get to correct Cleveland on a weekly basis and coach him up on some of the intricacies of the NFL and NBA and sports in general, since he calls himself, what do you call yourself, Cleveland?
The self-proclaimed expert on all things sports related.
Yeah, when he starts off with self-proclaimed, he needs some education. So I'm here to give that to him. And so now we got some direction. So we're going to be taking steps to kind of make this show profitable. And so we need your assistance, fans. And it starts with you guys hitting that subscribe button, hit that like button. It doesn't cost you anything to hit that subscribe button. It costs you even less to leave a comment for us. It costs you a little time and energy. Let us know what you think of the show. Let us know where you're watching us from, where you're tuning into the show from. And then I ask you one thing. Tell a friend about the podcast. And again, I have fun doing the show. Appreciate having Cleveland's input on the show on a week in, week out basis. So again, if you like what you're hearing, if you like the show and you're tuning in because you do like the show, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. We appreciate it very much, and it helps us with the algorithm. And again, just a simple comment: what state are you tuning in from? What country are you tuning in from? And how'd you hear about the show? So a few things right there. What state or where you tuning in from, how you hear about the show, and then give us a comment about what you like best about the show. One of the things I think that makes the show unique, Cleveland, is we try to, obviously there's a lot of people talking sports in the forum, in the podcast sphere out here, but I don't think there's anybody giving you guys a number game week in and week out. And because of the numbers of the podcast change, the episode numbers of the podcast change, the day of the week change. Every day is not the same. All of our numbers are going to be different week in and week out. So I think that kind of make this unique. So I don't think anybody's giving you this number game, kind of jogging your memory. As we have a historian, Tyler couldn't come up with a number 58. But it was real easy to come up with a real number 58 if you're a sports fan, right? And that number changes every week. So that makes this show unique in that aspect. Another thing that makes the show unique is our This Week in History segment, Cleavon. I'm not sure what other sports show is giving you, I don't want to say a history lesson, but just kind of jogging your memory of some of the things that happened this week in history. Good things, bad things. We touch on a little sports, touch on a little history of the United States. And so I think that's one thing that makes this show unique is This Week in History segment that I enjoy kind of doing some research and giving you guys some history. So September 20th, 1958, Martin Luther King Jr. was stabbed, Cleveland. He was stabbed in the chest by a deranged black woman in New York City as he was autographing his new book in the department store in Harlem. Did you know about that? Did you know Martin Luther King was stabbed in Harlem?
I was not aware of that one, Ken.
That was, I wasn't familiar with that. So that's a different history that we're giving to you on the show. I don't know I don't know what other sports show is giving you this type of history. So jump in the chat. If you do, let me know. Correct me where I'm wrong. I don't mind being corrected because I don't know everything. But who knew Martin Luther King was stabbed by somebody seeking an autograph in Harlem back in 1958? September 17th, 1861, Hampton Institute, Hampton, Virginia, was founded. Now it is now Hampton University, but for years it was Hampton Institute, was founded in 1861. September 18th, 1850, Congress passed the fugitive slave law as part of a compromise to racism back in 1850, the fugitive slave law. 1830, that should have been 1930, September 20th, was the first Negro convention of free men agreed to boycott slave produced goods. So the first Negro convention of free men agreed to boycott slave produced goods. This is in 1930, September the 20th. September 20th, Cleveland, 1984, you might remember this. Cincinnati Reds baseball player Pete Rose recorded his 100th hit of the season, Cleveland. Did you know this was his 22nd consecutive season, which he recorded at least 100 hits in the season? The dude did it 22 times in a row? Like,
Charlie Hustle.
Called him the Hit King, huh?
Charlie Hustle, you call him that for a reason. Yeah.
Man, 22 times in a row, that's bananas. This is something else that blew my mind. Okay. There's something else that blew my mind. If I told you this dude stole 5 bases in one game against the Houston Astros, it's going to take you a long time. I'm going to even help you out. A San Diego Padres Hall of Fame player stole 5 bases in one game. It's going to take you. Now, there's only 7 Hall of Famers from San Diego, right? The last guy you're going to think of is Tony Gwynn, stealing 5 bases in one game, right? That has to be the last guy. Or did that happen as a rookie? Because it wasn't late in his career that he stole.
That's who it was? Oh, yeah. I was never getting to that one. I was already dancing around all that, yeah.
September 20th, 1986, Tony Gwynn, San Diego Padres stole 5 bases in one game against the Houston Astros. Again, that had to be his rookie season.
Wasn't his rookie season because they got to the World Series '84, right?
Okay, all right. So
yeah, because they beat the Cubs. Yeah.
So he was still young. he was still young.
But yeah, five is a lot for him. Yeah.
Yeah. 1987, September 20th, Walter Payton scored 107th, his 107th touchdown to break an NFL record. Whose record did he break?
Broke Jim Brown's record.
Yeah, exactly. He broke Jim Brown's record. 1987, September 20th, 1998, Cleveland. I found this record amazing then. And it's something I couldn't understand. I couldn't understand Cleveland. I'm one on consistency. I believe in. I'm a big believer in consistency. Cleveland, we missed one show. I know in the last 12 months. I know we missed one show, and I hated to miss that show. But we were traveling. I was traveling that day, so we couldn't do the podcast. So we missed 1 week. We went 1 week without doing a podcast in the last 12 months. So I'm a big believer in consistency. I think that speaks to it. And I can't, as a professional athlete, unless you're injured, I just couldn't fathom missing games, not playing games. Cal Ripken Jr. record of 8,243 consecutive innings played, 908 games, was finally broken September 20th, 1998. And, every month you would be reminded of that. I know every month from 1990 to 98, you're reminded, Cal Ripken hasn't missed a game in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. He hasn't missed a game. I'm like, big deal. He gets paid a lot of money to play baseball. Like, that's not football. That's not basketball. I was wondering what the big deal was that the guy Cal Ripken played so many consecutive games. I didn't understand the hoopla. But that's something that we'll never see. We won't see that in baseball ever again, let alone sports. I don't know what that equates to as quarterback. I mean, quarterback, there's so many injuries that could happen. It's definitely a more violent sport. And basketball, I believe, I don't know, your boy AC Green, he played in some 900 consecutive games, right? But I couldn't understand. Were you as amazed at that record as everybody else was?
Yeah, I can. That record started in like 82 or 83, and it was the 2,400 consecutive games played. There's just absolutely no reason to do that when you're playing 162 games a season. I mean, there's just no. Yeah, that's why it won't happen ever again, because there's just no reason. It's just too much wear and tear on your body. And what is it that you're trying to prove out here, man? Like, no.
That you play every game. I mean, you play every game.
No.
No. What do you mean no? I mean, that's
no.
It wasn't while it's happening. I was not that impressed, but I do.
Just like when Brett Favre tried himself out there trying to play like his, what was it?
He played 300 something games consecutive.
300 something.
He played
consecutive games. Like, why don't you just sit your ass down?
I mean, but
especially in baseball, because I mean, no, have a seat every once in a while, man. I mean, it's like there's You're letting the pride mess with you, man. Like it's some type of badge of honor or something. No, man.
It's badge of honor that you're playing every game. You get paid millions of dollars to play a baseball game.
If you play 160 out of 162 games, I'm okay with that. Totally okay with that. I don't want you playing with your broken nose. I want you playing with your sprained ankle. I want you playing with your wrist that's been dislocated for 3 weeks. Why don't you just sit down for a second, man? No one's going to think any less of you if you sit down for a game.
But if you have I mean, to ownership's point, Cleveland, ownership, looking at it from an ownership or a manager position, if you're able to write on the card third baseman Cal Ripken for 15 years, like, you can worry about the rest of the 8 positions on the field.
If you're ownership and your third baseman is
15 years.
A gold glover, super stardom, MVP caliber player, and he's not living up to that expectation because he's got some nagging injuries and he just won't sit out of the game and let him heal for a little bit. No.
Well, okay. Was there a time? You're saying so. I guess it was there a time in the late 80s, early 90s where the Orioles were winless. They did start the season off like 0-30 or something like that. I remember it was 0-21 for sure.
They won a World Series in his career. I think they only played for the World Series one time. I believe that was 83. They made the playoffs a couple of times. But that dude played with a broken nose for a couple of weeks. He played with dislocated fingers, like all that kind of stuff. And he was already 6'4" for a shortstop anyway, so was already taking that type of wear and tear on your body. I mean, the Iron Man is cool, man, but at some point it's just like, and he just kept going after he broke the record. It's like, okay, well, just like,
let me just
do it.
Yeah, let me see how long I can go.
He was like 39 years old, still like every game. Like, okay, why don't you sit your ass down, at least for one.
So let's talk about somebody who's not sitting down right now. Is the Miami Hurricanes. They're undefeated. Miami Hurricanes undefeated. I don't know. They have to remind you of what's going on down there in the 305. Look like the U might be back. Look like right now, as of today, week 3 in the college football, the U is back. Okay. So what are we ranked this? What is the U ranked this year?
20.
Right now, we're 20 right now. Okay, that's fair enough. We'll take that. There's still a lot of season to go. Were you one of the 6 billion people that watched Colorado State versus Colorado on Saturday?
I was one of those. Yes, Cam.
Ended up being ESPN's 5th most watched college football game ever. And I'm not a major fan of college football, Cleveland. Particularly, I don't like Mississippi Valley State playing Alabama or Clemson playing Florida Central. I just hate those games. We see too much of it in college football, or LSU playing Tennessee Valley Prep. Like I hate those games. Those games make me hate college football even more. But the hype surrounding Deion Sanders and what he's doing with Colorado, on top of what Colorado State, obviously they had some pride and they showed up and played. I watched that game, Cleveland, from kickoff to the second overtime. That game was over 4 hours long. I'm like, my goodness, that was over 4 hours of college football. I was like, what is it? I was thinking, I thought when Colorado State took the 8-point lead, I was thinking that like there's 3 minutes left to go in the game. It just felt like there was 3 minutes to go in the game. However, that was 9 minutes to go in fourth quarter. I'm like, hold on. I looked at the time clock. I'm like, there's still another 9 minutes in the football game to go. Obviously, they couldn't hang on. What's your takeaway from what Colorado's doing? Outside, we'll get to Deion's impact in a minute ago, but what was your takeaway of what happened on the field in that game?
I thought that they were able to battle adversity a lot better than I thought that they would be capable of doing, especially losing their best player on offense and defense simultaneously in the same injury to the same person. I was incredibly impressed with Shedeur Sanders driving his team from the 2-yard line with like 90 seconds left all the way down the field and then scoring 2 touchdowns in overtime. I mean, that was beyond wild. Deion's other son had a pick 6. I mean, just the emotion, the ebbs and flows.
He almost got walked down, though. I mean, I got that kid, Torrey Hunter, on the other number 14 for Colorado State. I don't think he should be – he doesn't need to go to the NFL Combine. He doesn't need to go to senior day at all. Just at the end of the season, just sit at home. Don't go motorcycle racing. Don't go mountain climbing. Number 14 for Colorado State, Torrey Hunter, the receiver. Like, would he catch 15 balls that day?
I don't think that's his name, but yeah, he had a pretty
Torrey, not Hunter. Torrey, It's not what I say, Hunter, or it's not Hunter. Jeez, what is the guy? It started with Horton. Torrey
Whatever,
Horton.
that dude. I mean, that was cool. I mean, he had a cool game. I mean, it's probably the biggest stage you'll ever be on.
He had 15 catches. He had 15 catches, Cleveland.
That's great. That's cool.
Yeah.
Again, the cornerback that ordinarily would be covering him was knocked out of the game by a cheap shot.
No. Okay, cheap shot or not?
That's that.
It was a late hit.
Yes,
it was. It was a sentimental play. Yes,
for half a second, like
it was a sentimental play.
Second.
Yes, it was a sentimental play. Cheap shot. It was a late hit. Cheap shot, it was borderline. I don't say cheap shot.
It was all of that.
It was a late hit. I'll give you that. That I will grant you.
Well, a late hit in and of itself is a cheap shot, especially when you lunge yourself at the player. And let's not even get into what they tried to do to Shedeur, that big fat man throwing all of his body weight on him.
Now that was that.
Come on now, the ball was well out of his hands. It was he straight up picked him up.
I tell you what that was. I tell you. Let me explain that to you. I'll tell you exactly what that was. Yes, that was a late hit. It was another late hit as well. But that was a lineman who been chasing the quarterback around all game long, and he finally gets close enough to get a hit on him. And I'm gonna take this hit. Right or wrong, ball gone or not. I finally get close enough to you to get my body weight on you. Yes, you're going to get all of this right now. That's what that was. But yes, that was, you can't do that in NFL. You can't do that in NFL, let alone college. Yes, it was a hit. I disagree that it was targeting. I disagree that he should have been injected. But yes, it was. That was another late hit. That again, that was a lineman who was.
Yeah, no, Ken. I hear you. He
was inches away.
That's why I started my phrase with that Cam Buford, Rodney Harrison half second thing.
It was all game long. He's fighting to get to that quarterback,
and he never could quite get there. And so now when he gets there, it has to be all cheap and late.
He couldn't quite get there. But never mind. I mean, never mind that though. Shedeur showed he's worth every NIL dime that he's getting. Right, every NIL dime he's getting, he's worth it all. When he took his team back from, 98, to come back down 8, under 2 minutes, and you have the ball on your 2-yard line. Like you can't put yourself in that type of situation in Madden. Like you to come back in Madden, you can't script it so that way in Madden to come back. Now, I would argue that the coach had no business punting that ball 4th and 2, and if you you're up 8, 4th and 2 on the 40, if you get your first down, the game's over. If you get the first down, the game's over.
You don't give the ball 40 though. No, he did the right thing.
No. Go for it. We're in control of this game.
That would be showing no confidence in your defense if you can pin him at the 2 with
that shows that I don't care. My defense doesn't have to come on the field. If I get 2 yards on offense. Whether I'm running an RPO, whether I run my tight end drag, whether I run my fullback from Garfield High School, by the way, whether I run him up the middle, I'm going for the kill. I'm not giving you the ball. So now I have to wonder, and now I'm sweating on my defense. Can my defense stop them? I'm not doing that. I'm going for on 4th down. I'm ending the game right there. So they give him the ball. They give, Shedeur goes down, scores, and very impressive. That forced to overtime. Not only do they score the points, not only do they score the touchdown under 2 minutes, 98 yards to go, and you have to go for 2. So they go for 2, they get it. They force the overtime. Then they get the ball. They take the ball. They score first. So Colorado State has another opportunity to end the game. When they score, if we go for 2 here, we end the football game. We go for 2, we win. They kick the field goal to tie and force another overtime? Come on, man. You're not taking advantage of your opportunities. You're not taking advantage of the opportunity that are right in front of you. Everything, all the animosity that went into the game, all the talk from all week long that went into this game, all the publicity that you were angry that you weren't getting going into this game, you have had a chance to steal it. You had 2 times to steal that. 2 times. By 4th and 2, by going for it, you can end the game there. In overtime, you go for 2, you end the game, you send it, you can wave. I don't even talk about, I wave from the sideline. I don't need to shake your hand. I'll see you. Goodbye. They kicked the field goal to tie it up. Come on, man. Go for the win there. Go for the win. Go for the win, coach. Go for the win, coach. They didn't do it. Obviously, Colorado come back. Overtime again does it. Held them. They scored their touchdown. They keep them out the end zone, and they win the game. Do you disagree with what I'm saying, Cleveland? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, you kick it. You kick it. You keep the game.
No, stop it. That's playing safe. That's playing safe conservative football.
And you punt it with 90 seconds left.
That's playing safe conservative football. Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
98 yards. Yeah.
Well, Shador did it. So I mean, clearly. And one thing I noticed in that game as well, not only is Shador spectacular, when Deion Sanders, he's the best general manager in college football. Was he coaching that game? He had the headset on, Cleveland. I don't know if you noticed it. He had the headset on. The microphone, they can bring the mic up and down now, right? You notice that, right? The microphone stayed in up position. So he has a headset on, listen to what his coaches are talking about, and what the coaches are doing. The coaches are making the calls. Deion Sanders is not involved in that conversation. I don't know if you noticed that or not. And so I'm calling
it
Deion
was some
Sanders.
of the time, Cam. Some of the time he was, some of the time he wasn't.
It was not, the microphone. The microphone was not.
To say that the
up.
microphone was always in the upright position would not be true. He did have some things to say, not a lot. Like you said, he likes to delegate authority and kind of be, the personality. And truth be told, he's already outgrown Colorado in these 3 games.
He said already outgrown. Already outgrown Colorado.
Yeah.
Where do you see him? Where do you see him at next? Is he going to Florida State? Where do you see him going? So you're saying he's gone. He's done. He's done in Colorado. Is that what you're telling me?
If not this year, after the following year, he's gone. And you know where he's going.
He's not going to Dallas. Where is he going?
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M.
There's 3 schools Deion could potentially go to. Number 1 being Texas A&M. Number 2,
why Texas A&M? Or go ahead, name those 3 schools, and I'm ask you why Texas A&M.
Texas A&M. Number 2 would be Michigan. Number 3,
Michigan with Harbaugh.
Number 3 would be LSU.
Why Texas A&M?
Because they're tired of Jimbo Fisher. He has not delivered on what he promised. They already run that university like an NFL team, meaning their payroll is tremendous with the amount that they're paying all these players. There's a reason they've had the top 5 recruiting class the last 3 years, and they want him to bring that Deion thing to their school and get them over the hump.
I'm gonna throw something else in your mix. LSU, they're known for making that type of splash. But why not SMU, who just in 5 days SMU
He's
raised,
already bigger than that.
Huh?
He's already bigger than that program. Why would he go to anything smaller than Colorado?
Well, SMU's in Texas, in Dallas, number 1. That rebirths.
SMU hasn't been relevant since the Pony Express.
Neither was Colorado.
No, Colorado's been relevant 2 times.
They've been since the Pony Express. True enough, yes. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. But he can go to SMU, and revamped SMU with the same concept that he took from
the
same blueprint.
Did you hear those other schools that I just named? I said Texas A&M, Michigan, and LSU.
I don't know if Michigan
is not in that criteria.
They're not in that bunch. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But SMU just generated $100 million here over here in 5 days with the number of boosters. Michigan, they're not replacing Harbaugh.
Who knows if Harbaugh's going to stay? I think he's had a kind of his run there, and especially after this 3-game suspension for like I can just go back to the pros where you just don't get fined or suspended for this kind of thing. We're all grown men.
Wow. So, wow, that's incredible. So, let's talk about the Pac-12. In their swoon season, they have 6 teams in the top 25. Do you find this kind of odd? Is this comical? How the Pac-12 right now in their closeout season of their history, they have 6 teams. A third of the teams.
It's not 6, Cam. It's 8 teams in the top 25.
Who'd I miss? Who'd I miss? I guess I didn't look at the
Washington State, Oregon State, UCLA.
Just Oregon State. Oregon State's in the top 25?
Yeah. Okay. USC, UCLA, Utah, and Colorado.
Yeah, I didn't have Utah or Oregon State. All right. So they literally have a third of the teams are in the top 25. Anyway, that conference fixes things, men's offenses and sticks around.
No, those other contracts have already been signed. Those alliances have already been made. It just goes to show you how horribly mismanaged the conference was for a long time, because ultimately this is the amount of talent that you have. I mean, way more than the SEC. These things ebb and flow. So the SEC was on top for a long, long time. I mean, what could have happened, given what we're seeing this season?
So are you burying you went to SEC, are you burying Alabama and Saban? Has the train moved on past Saban in Crimson Tide?
No. The train is still
because the sky is falling down here. The sky is falling down here. They lost Texas and the sky is falling.
Yeah, the choo-choo is still fully engaged. He just had a misstep at the quarterback position. He just didn't realize that he didn't have one. I mean, sometimes that happens. You think those other guys are cool until they got to play, and it's like, oh, not so much. And didn't use the portal efficiently enough to go get one of those guys, or try to when got the Notre Dame guy, and he's just not that guy.
Yeah, the sky is falling down here after they lose another game. So they lost to Texas, right? Their next game is going to be in big bold letters. It's basketball season here in Alabama. It's so weird how this kind of like you fair weather Laker fans. Once the season, it looks like the season is imminent. Everybody jumps off the bandwagon. Kind of very similar. And I was surprised. I thought there were more diehards out here than they are, but everybody is the sky is falling around here, around these parts. It's kind of weird. Cleveland, is it too early to talk Heisman? Is the Heisman race? Is it Shedeur? Did Shedeur put his 98-yard drive? Did that handcuff the Heisman, or does Caleb Williams, or will the next 2 weeks tell you? They got Oregon, and if they can keep it close against Oregon, which they're 21-point underdogs, and then their showdown against Caleb Williams, is that the telltale sign? Will that be the Heisman deciding game?
If Shedeur is able to beat Oregon and SC, yeah, he's the favorite. But that's not going to happen.
Oregon and SC? I mean, come on. Oregon Oregon didn't look great last week, did they? They put up 81 against who? Willamette University. Is that who they scored 81 on? And then last week it took them late in the fourth quarter to get
This is a Heisman question. This wasn't an Oregon question. The question was,
you don't want to talk about Oregon. You don't want to talk about Oregon.
Yeah,
no, I'm just saying.
If he wins those 2 games, is he a Heisman, favorite? And the answer is yes.
If he outplays Caleb Williams when they play, regardless of they win and lose against Oregon, if he outplays Caleb Williams, is that a game for the Heisman Trophy? No, he has to be.
Heisman Trophy is a body of work trophy. It's not a 1 game type of thing.
Well, yes, but his body of work would be
one game that he beat Caleb, and Caleb throws for 5,000 yards in those other games. No, that's not a thing.
No, his body of work has been having all the eyeballs on him. No, having all the eyeballs he had from leading up to that game.
No, that's not a Heisman Trophy criteria. Having eyeballs on him.
Oh, that's not Heisman Trophy criteria. Okay. Well, I don't know. I think there's out of the 6 billion people that watch the game, there's a few Heisman trophies that'll say that drive was quite enough to get him in the
no one's saying that. He's in the running, but not enough to win it.
Well, we'll see. If they're able to put something on USC and they keep this game close against Oregon, like I say, Oregon, who did they played Willamette and scored 91 points against Willamette, but it took them last week. They only scored 31 on somebody, right? Or they beat 24-21.
Yeah, I don't follow up on Oregon too tough like that until it's
yeah, but you know exactly my point is they didn't have a spectacular showing last week.
Well then, hey man, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Okay. So, what's your thoughts on these 9 a.m., 9:30 starts for college football games on the West Coast? What's your thoughts on this?
Not a fan. It's way too early.
I went to a couple of USC games. I covered a couple of games that started at 9 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. I believe that was the starts. And
on the West Coast?
At USC at the Coliseum in LA within the last 3 years.
Way too early.
It is. I certainly agree with you.
Not fair for them.
I certainly agree with you. It's way too early on. I think they played Utah was one of the games. Like it was one of the bigger games of the West Coast. But yeah, it was a 9:30 start. Like, are you kidding me? Like, only the nerds are in the building. Like the fans, the rowdy fans, they haven't woke up yet. They haven't woken up yet. There's no beer drinking. There's no tailgating before the game at 9:30 in the morning. All that's gone. So as of right now, as of this very moment, as we speak, that USC versus Colorado game in Colorado, that's going to be a 9:30 start. That's a 9:30 start on Fox, and I actually got credentials to that game, Cleveland. And I thought for sure because Colorado State versus Colorado started at 10 p.m. 10 p.m. It started at 9 p.m. 10 p.m. on the Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. here in Central. I thought for sure that'd be a 7 p.m. 7:30 start.
And it will be, Cam. There's absolutely no way that game will air at the time that you're talking about.
Right. As look at the schedule right now. It's scheduled to air at 9 a.m. 9:30 a.m.
tomorrow. What, the Oregon game's about?
No, USC versus Colorado at Colorado is scheduled to start at noon on the East Coast
next week.
So that's in 2 weeks, not next week. 2 weeks is Oregon.
No.
What do you mean? No, I'm telling you right now. Look on the calendar. I'm telling you.
I know what you're telling me, Cam. I'm telling you that's not going to be a thing.
You're telling me I'm wrong, or you telling me that will change? Which one are you saying?
I'm telling you that will change if that is what you're saying, and I'm not saying you're not correct, but yeah, no.
Yeah, no, it's going to be 9.
NFL does it all the time, bro. They just changed the game.
It's 12 p.m. Eastern time, so that's 9 a.m. on the West Coast. 9 a.m. on the West. I'm with you. If that game gets moved, I'll be in the house. I'll be in the house.
Game's getting moved.
Again, I'm 100% with you. I'll be in Denver in 2 weekends on the 30th. If that game gets moved, I'll be in the house. So I'm rooting for it to get moved. I'm telling you, this morning, as of this morning, I changed it. It's a 12 p.m. game on the East Coast, 9 a.m. on the West Coast. That means it's starting. At 11 o'clock in Central area.
Yeah,
and it makes no sense to me. That's why I asked this question, Cleveland. What do you think about the start 9 a.m. 9:30 starts? I've been at that game. It's ridiculous.
It won't be a thing. Don't worry about that.
Howard just came up with the times on the internet use. Yeah, again, because of TV situations, they have to kind of plan for the game to come on at a certain time, and hopefully they change the game.
That was cool when they were 2-11 and not the most watched non-bowl game in the history of ESPN. So, yeah.
Hey, I'm with you. I am with you, fans. I will report back, but I'm with you on that. Hopefully, it does change. Cleveland, Ohtani. No, you don't want to talk about Ohtani, but he has a surgery. Looks like they say he's going to be able to hit next season, and he won't be able to pitch for a couple seasons. What's your thoughts on his recovery? And Dodgers look like the favorite to you?
That's pretty much what we predicted. Yes and yes on both of those questions.
Well, talk to us about these Mariners, man. They're 5-5 in their last 10 games. That it's a couple games better than their 3-7 over the last 20 games.
Sure. Okay, let me take the mic here real quick. So they just swept the Oakland A's, and so they're going to the last 5 games.
Big deal.
They're going to the last 5 games against 3 against Houston, 2 against the Rangers. They're a half game. They're a half game out of the AL West division. They're a half a game up for the 3rd wild card spot. So we're laying it all out there on the table. These next 5 games will decide everything, like our chances.
So of these next 5 games, what do you have them going? 1-4?
I'm going with 3-2.
In a 3-2 season. So if they go 2-3, do they make the playoffs? Are they done?
Depends on what Toronto does. It depends on what the other team does when they're not playing the Mariners. So I can't. It's way too close to predict that. Like I said, there's a half a game that separates 4 teams.
So it's way too close. So you don't want to say you said early in the season that they're going to make the playoffs. Now are you wavering on your prediction?
I still think they're going to make the playoffs.
So you have them going no less than 3-2.
I have them going 3-2. Now, whether you said the question was if they don't go 3-2, will they still make the playoffs? And I said there's no way to tell that. Too close to call them in with 4 teams going round and round. No, not going to do it.
You got something on it? How confident are you? You got an elbow on it?
No.
Cleveland being realistic. Cleveland's scared. That's what he is. That's what he's scared. He's scared right now, MJ. He's scared right now. He had no confidence in this team all season long. He's been predicting, Cameron, because the Mariners are only barely over 500. They're barely over 500 right now.
Just barely.
And we don't really talk about Mariners because they ought to be playing in Portland. This should be the Portland Mariners. Or I say send them to Vancouver. Hell, let the Vancouver team have them. They need a team. Vancouver never had a baseball team, have they? Let them move to Vancouver. Vancouver Mariners. That's a perfect fit. You don't want to go to send them to Portland? Send them to Vancouver. Because they stink. And then they could use that fancy stadium they have. They have that fancy stadium. Clinton, you're like that. That should be the Metro League All-Star Stadium. Garfield, Franklin, Blanchette, Have them Rainier Beach, have that all them play in that fancy stadium they have in Soto, right there. Send the Mariners to Vancouver. Thanks, Clint, clarifying that. Thanks, Clint. They might support the Mariners. They get a major league team. They might support them. I mean, there's only at a 20,000 seats in that stadium at T-Mobile. There's only like 10,000 that goes in that stadium anyway.
Wow,
so I'm sure
this is so sad. You're digging yourself such a deep hole.
I'm sure Vancouver.
Future. Wow.
I'm sure the Vancouver can get 10,000 people to come to the game.
Tough. Wow. That negative mojo you're throwing is just helping them out, man.
I mean, do something. Get to the playoffs, because obviously the man who's been advocating for them all season long has no confidence in these guys. He has no confidence in them. The BC Lions. Oh, they have to be. So So Clint, you're telling me that the Mariners can't compete with the BC Lions?
Okay. Not understanding what you're saying, Cam. Not understanding what you're saying.
The Mariners can't compete with the BC Lions. That's funny. That's funny. Or the Vancouver Canucks. They can't. The Mariners can't compete with the Vancouver Canucks or the BC Lions. That's hysterical. That's hysterical, Clint. Thanks for bringing this. Oh man, thanks for bringing some levity to the show. That's hysterical. So by next week, the Mariners will be out the playoffs, and so baseball season will be over. Just like the sky is falling down here, and just like the sky is falling down here for Alabama fans, Mariner fans will be moved on to the Kraken. And is the Kraken season starting next week, Cleveland?
No, not next week, Cam.
The Kraken season starts next week because the Mariners are going to be out. It's going to be hockey. It's going to be hockey season right around the corner.
Okay, man.
It's going to be hockey season right around the corner.
Feel bad for you.
Fans, I want to thank you guys for tuning into the Voice of the Fans podcast. This has been week 258 of the Voice of the Fans podcast. We have to end this on a note. Cleveland is now mad at me now because I'll talk about his Bears moving to Vancouver. We got to get that going. Here go Clint. Here go Clint with his chiming in. I don't know, Clint. It's iffy. Hey, I try to bet Cleveland. I told him put some ribs on it. I told him put some ribs on it. He don't want to put no ribs on it. He don't got no confidence in him. Clint, do you got confidence in him? You want to put something on the Mariners making the playoffs? You want to put a rib dinner on it? You got a rib dinner on the Mariners making the playoffs. Tell me that. It don't have to be nothing big. Rib dinner, $20. I can go right here to Full Moon, get me a rib dinner, $20. The barbecue's pretty. You got $20 on it, Clint? I don't think Clint don't got $20 on it either. I don't know how confident neither one of you guys are the Mariners making the playoffs. You just told me, okay. Oh, there it is there. There it is there. You got more confidence in Cleveland. We'll see what happens. So tune in, fans, next week to see if the Mariners actually make the playoffs. And I want my $20, Cleveland, or I want my $20, Clint. Cash App, Voice of the Fans. Cash App, $ Voice of the Fans. That's where you're going to send my money to. Cash App, Voice of the Fans. Because Cleveland don't have no confidence. He don't have no confidence in it. He's been riding with him all year long, and he don't got no confidence. He's not willing to put it up there. You see, he's quiet. You see, he ain't said nothing in 5 minutes. You see, he's quiet, right, Clint? He don't got nothing to say. I wonder why. Fans, again, thank you guys for tuning in to the Voice of the Fans podcast. This has been week 258 of the Voice of the Fans show. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Leave a comment on the show. Tell us where you're tuning in to the show at. How'd you find out about the show? And tell us what segment you like about the show most. Just give us some feedback. Give us some comments. We can only get better with your feedback. So give us some feedback to help us get better. Thank you. I really appreciate you guys for being a part of the show. And thank you for making our voice your choice. Cleveland, you good? You all right, Cleveland? You not too salty? See, he don't got nothing to say. He don't got nothing to say. I think his confidence is drained. He's not talking about the Mariners. All of a sudden, we talked about the Mariners. He started the show banging on my Dolphins, We get to the Mariners now. He's quiet. He don't got nothing to say. That's kind of weird how that happens. Fans, as always, we leave the show with a quote. The quote I'm going to leave you guys with tonight is, the only limits to our realization of tomorrow will be our doubts of today. One more time. The only limits to our realization of tomorrow will be our doubts of today. So Cleveland can't even be happy that he's down in his Mariners tomorrow because he ain't happy in them today. He ain't happy in them. He ain't happy with them today. He's looking. He got some support out here, Clint, but I don't know if he don't seem too confident to me. I don't know if he seems too confident. Fans, that quote is from Franklin D. Roosevelt. One more time for those in the back. The only limits on our realization of tomorrow will be our doubts of today. And I want to thank you, as always, for making our voice your choice. Fans, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon.